fucking win this game. Let's go do it together. Loyal on three. 1, 2, 3. Loyal! Win on 3. 1, 2, 3. Win! Come on, boys!
Welcome to the Loyal Locals podcast. Hi, everybody. My name is Jerry Jimenez. I'm joined by Mr. Steve Brokoff. What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm good. How was that for a hype video?
Let's go. I'm gonna go run through some walls.
So hyped that I ended up actually doing the. Yeah.
Couldn't hold back.
No. Can't do that. Also, of course, we can't do this without Mr. Juice Stack. Let me bring him in here. Let's see. Is he ready for us? Let me see. Yeah, sure.
Freshly showered, too.
There he is.
Actually showered this time. I may be wearing the same shirt and hat I wore last week, but they are both washed, and so am I.
Thank you for the clarification.
I can't smell you from here, so I'm going to believe you and trust you. All right. I'll tell you what. I haven't showered, but that's okay. I have kids. No, I'm just kidding. I did shower today. No, it's good to see you guys, man. Good to have everybody here joining us today, tonight, this evening. If you're listening in the morning, buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, whenever you're listening. We have a jam-packed one today because not only do we have to go over a full season schedule,
Let's go.
we also are going to be talking. Yeah, I know. I know. Trust me. We're also going to be talking to a very amazing human being that we all have the honor and pleasure of knowing, and who also is doing a lot of work right now behind the scenes for a really cool project that we're going to bring him on for. John, are you ready? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to come in. Yeah, Mr. John Cross joining us on the pod tonight. What's up, man? How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Just ready to get this going, man. And let's see here. We have some comments already. There's already.
I am in the Phoenix area for work, so I am as good as I possibly can be being out here, but not as good as it's always.
As I'm trying to set everything up for today, I didn't get a beer, so I'm gonna do that. You guys want to get that going? Like, Drew, what do you have?
I
man?
also don't have a beer since
dang.
they were
Okay,
alluding to me being. Am I actually joining us tonight? Because I was the later one, but I will say, Steve, you're doing work. He's also.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say this jersey was brought out here specifically to bring Loyal vibes and San Diego vibes to the area and prep for next month.
Nice.
1 month from today, actually. 1 month from today.
Yeah.
Did you walk into your hotel room and just like do this with the shirt, just get rid of all the bad vibes that are probably in there from all the zones?
The second I landed, I was the crazy guy on the airplane.
Just waving it around. What are you drinking?
I am drinking Earth's Green Mantle, which is a dry Irish stout from Arizona Wilderness Brewing Co., which is the spot out here and will be our, or my at least, pregame or night before brewery to go to. And it's pretty close to where Phoenix Rising will play. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Chandler. Yeah.
Hey, we do have a new audio thing to show everybody today, but I'll wait for that. And once we get into the schedule, because it makes more sense there, but definitely related to how terrible Phoenix is. Another thing I wanted to say, Steve, at some point during this podcast, and probably here pretty quickly. You and John are gonna have a conversation while Drew and I really quickly go and grab a drink. Okay, I'm just gonna let you know.
Yeah,
Do
there's
it.
going to be a point sometime in the next, few seconds where one of us will just
literally
end
seconds.
a sentence, and maybe it's like where it trails off, where you're like, I'm thinking of going to one of these away days.
Yeah, you know what? Me too. So see y'all later. I'll be right back.
Well, John, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure.
I will say shout out to Tom Phillips, our director of philanthropy. Happy birthday, Tom. I believe you are tuned in. And if not, I hope everybody that is will comment and wish Tom a happy birthday. And I will say thanks for coming on again. Really love the work you've done with Soccer Shorts. We'll talk about that a lot later. I think we're going to kind of get to the meat of the schedule and stuff first, but you're going to be along for the ride and chime in just like any other the fourth member of the podcast. But we'll get to the meat of Soccer Shorts and what you're working on and your kind of history and story later. But yeah, thank you and welcome.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, John. Honestly, like I just saw, because obviously I'm a Patreon. I just saw episode 2 of your project, and we're gonna get into what you're doing with the Locals documentary, of course. But only one word to describe it, man: delicious. As a matter of fact, I'm having a Stone Delicious IPA right now.
Nice.
What was that for a segment?
Nice
Perfect.
segue.
Yeah, I'm lucky because I actually I don't have to travel too far. But Drew's back. Drew, are you ready too? I don't know if he is. We're gonna bring him in anyways. Yeah, he's fine.
I had to venture all the way to the fridge. It's not that far, but I've got
not
a
too far.
setup here where I have to go around and under. It's like
Mm.
one of
I was
those
actually-
game shows.
I was thinking about where you are to where your fridge is, because I've been in your place. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not that bad.
It's not. It's just I go under a desk to get out of this for anybody who's listening. So I kind of turn it this way so you can have some interesting stuff to look at instead of a window. So I have to crawl under my desk to get out of this.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. For those of you watching the pod, you see this. Otherwise, you're just hearing us talk about it. But that's our situations in terms of navigating to our fridges. But I'm having Needle in the Hay tonight from our partner 3 Punk Ales, and I got some just a second chance sitting on the side. But this is Needle in the Hay double IPA, 8%, 8.5%. So it's but it doesn't drink like it. It's really just, when I first had it, I was like, man, this is the thing. So I'm excited to cheers.
Oh, cheers, everybody. Cheers to all of those. Please
All right.
feel free to share with us what you're drinking
Cheers.
as well on the comments in YouTube. So good.
Jerry, I should get you a beer delivery kickback on this for sure. I think there should be there you go.
Oh, dude, I feel like, hey, that mug though. Shout out to our
Oh
friend
yeah.
2 balls.
over at 2 Balls in a Mic.
Before we trend too far from 3 Punks, Jerry, would you like to talk about your experience there yesterday?
No. What is? I mean, I drank a lot of beer. I don't remember pretty much any of it.
I only got the story from text, but I'm looking forward to maybe a few audio format hour-long things coming out that I can listen to.
Yeah, we recorded an episode of Emo Brown, is what Steve is alluding to.
Yes, I didn't say it, you did.
We recorded an episode of Emo Brown podcast, and then actually ended up staying after a second podcast because Woodsy came in, man. Like Stephen Woods from the morning show 97.3, the Ben and Woods show, came in and did a podcast with him as well. I stayed. I got to hang out for a little bit, and then somehow he's like, "Hey, let's go do it again. Let's go record again." And so we just did another episode where it was just random stuff. So yeah, look out for that. Should be coming out pretty soon. Talk about all things soccer, and I almost shed a tear at some point. So you might want to listen. It was a good one. It's a really good one. But guys, we had the first ever San Diego versus San Diego match this Sunday, not Saturday. No, it was Sunday. My dumbass went in and put waking up on match day, and it was Saturday, and everybody's like, that's tomorrow, bro. I'm like, dang it. You're right.
Yeah.
What month is it? It's still March. It's been March for a year. Whatever. You guys can forgive me.
Yeah, I had it Saturday in my head too. You're not the only one.
I don't know if Drew was making fun of me or if he actually was saying Saturday today, because he got confused too. Drew, or were you
Yeah, I think it's just the weird last couple weeks have been odd, and then also the schedule release had it all the days were different days, so it's like some are Saturdays, some are Sundays. So you have Tuesdays, Thursdays, Wednesdays in there. We'll get to it all, but I think all of that was kind of throwing my head for a loop of like, what day? It's Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay. At first, I was like, I think he's making fun of me for being a
No.
and saying it was Saturday. So
I'm just with you.
1904 FC, who plays for, and they're FC, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the 1904 FC, who plays in Nisa, which is technically right now, I believe, third division,
Right.
third tier. Played against San Diego Loyal. Had a couple of friendly matches. What was it? 60-minute.
75, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. It was 75. So they had 45 break, and then they had an additional 30 minutes, and they did that twice. So it was, at first, I think on Twitter, 1904 came out and said it was their squad B versus the Loyal squad B, and so basically it was trilist. I think they came out and actually said it was trilist for 1904.
Yeah.
And then the second game was 1904 A team versus the San Diego Loyal A team. So you had two very different matches. We got to see again trilist 1 through 27 play, and it was interesting because as we're watching this unfold on Twitter, because we weren't actually watching it, whatever. But it was so entertaining to see. They did a much better job, Drew, I would say, of actually keeping us updated this time.
They did at least a better job of wanting to engage everybody. They were doing the gifs of Stay Classy Co., which was, if we're gonna make it just a one-time thing, that's great. If it continues on, it's great too. I'd love to see other people's name suggestions that would be fun for this matchup. But that's the one that most of us ran with. At least we're on Twitter that day, was Stay Classy Co. And so they were throwing out at least some emotion with their scoring updates as opposed to just text. And they were actually giving us a lot of videos too, which was nice. So you were
I was gonna say
getting
that.
some of that content in line, like an in-game highlight, which has been unusual this preseason. So as I said a few weeks ago, it's that like, y'all got any more of those videos? I'll take anything. But this was definitely some high quality stuff and fun to see. They said they had plenty of footage to show us in terms of what they could. So I'm sure there'll be more goals to kind of maybe trickle out of that game at some point too.
I would hope.
Yeah,
so.
the one I was bummed about is I guess there was some Salzizo chip, and Ryan replied to me on Twitter and said he only got pictures of it, and I was like, oh man, come on.
You have one job, Ryan.
No, respect.
Got to be the hardest decision, right? When you're like, I'm switching to photos right now, right? Nothing cool is going to happen that I need to right? And then, of course, it's like the second they score.
The
But
worst.
it sounds like that game, it was a hard problem because they were
Well,
just so many
I can
chances.
tell you, as someone who shoots video,
Yeah.
yes, you never know when it's going to happen, and that's always a fear: is you're going to miss something, and you miss it a lot, and you kick yourself every time you put the camera down or you switch.
I was gonna say,
That's
San
why-
Diego Loyal, if you need another cameraman,
I don't think it pays.
I'm a little busy at the moment.
I think the easiest way to have a camera on is to have more than one camera. That way it can go around, redundancy. So I like that. That's honestly why you always have multi-covered shoots. You have B-roll, as John knows, and we'll get into it in this documentary. It is so hard because you just have to always gather, and you don't know what you're going to need. And that one clip, maybe even months later, like you could think through your whole documentary and think, I don't know why I would need this clip. And then you get to the end, you go, this is perfect. This fits exactly into this one interview I had at the end that fits in. It's how it goes. So you just never know, especially with this kind of stuff. So sports are funny like that. Little moments can mean everything. Months down the line, you don't even realize it. So this was
Dude,
a great little moment, though.
I do that with my kids all the time, where I'm recording because obviously they did something cute or whatever, and I want to record it, and of course they stop completely. And then the moment that they try to do it again, I miss out on it. So it happens all the time, but at least it's in my head. But yeah, with something like this, it's good to see though that there is quite a few pictures of this day. There was a lot more stuff. And okay, Tom, happy birthday, bro! But you ain't gonna be telling us what to do. All right, we're gonna get there. We're gonna ask him questions soon. I promise, Tom. We'll get there. Let's see here. I wanted to kind of make sure I don't miss any of the information here, but. Long story short, first match was 6-0, and it was goals by. That's what I'm trying to pull up right now. Can you guys kind of walk me through that? I can't find it.
I don't know.
So it was
Too many goals.
So it was two penalty kicks. I'm gonna just do it off the top of my head. Corey Herzog had two. Nicky Jackson had a brace, and then we had a goal from Salzizo, and I'm missing one. Oh, Jack Blake.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah,
We
I
did
remember
see a video
seeing
of that.
Nicky Jackson created one of the penalty opportunities for Herzog as well. So kind of a 2.5, tally there for him. But
Yeah, see,
I think he's going to be a problem.
Yeah, Zizo and that front two seem to connect very well, which is a good thing to hear because it did feel like Sal, when he found those connecting runs and found those passes later in the year, it was very dangerous. It just didn't seem to be something that early on clicked as much. So it's good to see it clicking already in preseason for him as a player specifically, just because that was something that I was concerned about, was trying to make sure he had, continued the momentum he had near the end of last year into this year, especially as a player who's, every year you look at it and you say, do I still have something to value in this team? I'm a player who's played a lot of years, and what can I bring? So it's cool to see that he's already checking in and being so part of play, even though it was against Trialists, even though it was with our, some of our first team guys. It's good to hear that they're finding that connection, and it sounds like it's pretty fruitful, against, even if you look at this as like a FIFA, like maybe their FIFA rating's a little lower than our FIFA rating in this situation with this mix of players, at least that first game. But in both scenarios with that, tiering of, where players play and all that kind of stuff, it is nice to see those different results, because you could also have a day where you had two games against these players and you had maybe 2-0, 2-1 or even that. So it's good to see that they're excelling against who they're supposed to, just generally. And from a goal scoring standpoint, Jackson being involved, I think, again, I said it in the Discord at the time, but I think it means that he's becoming more of a 1-2 with Herzog, to where you can't really shift in somebody else out, as a starting 11 option when he's doing so well and scoring like that. It's really hard to justify and say pulling a player out, but that's where that, to me, I think Jackson question for a lot of us filling in our starting 11s, our standard starting 11, if you will, seems to be shifting more towards Nicky Jackson, at least at the moment. So that is a kind of takeaway, at least if you're trying to take anything away from these things that are somewhat practice, somewhat simulation. For me, that's kind of what I took away. But other than that, the footage we got to see was good. I just don't think that there's much to say when you don't really see the full run of play. You only hear news from the home front as if it's the World War I, and we're waiting for a radio broadcast, or maybe even just a headline or two in the Morning Tribune.
I'll tell you what I tell my kid when he asks me to buy him a monster truck. I tell him, use your imagination. That's what I say. No, here's the thing, man. Like, I actually was wrong. It was Morgan Hackworth who had the second goal in that first match. The second match was when we had our that goal from Jack Blake. And so you had I'm pulling it up here now, but it was Ben Spencer to Miguel Ibarra to make it 1-1, right? Because they scored first, and then Miguel Ibarra scored, and then you had a Moshe Bane to Charlie goal on a corner, and then you had Ibarra picks out Jack Blake, and then he makes it 3-1. So that's what ended up happening in these two matches. It's just fun, man. It's a bummer because it's one of those things that this is San Diego history that we cannot see,
Right?
And we have to, pretend we have a monster truck. It's what we got to do. We got to use our imagination on this one, just like Drew said. It's just as you follow them, through and kind of go through these matches. It is what it is. We can't really talk too much about it other than what we've seen. Luckily, like I said, they did a much better job. That goal from Jack Blake, golly, man, that ball from Miguel Ibarra. Yeah. Come on,
I know.
Let's go.
I know, and it's kind of it's interesting, right? I mean, he's not a loyal player, but he's starting competitive matches, and I haven't heard anything, and I stick to what I have heard and what you've heard, Jerry, that it's not in the plans to sign him, but it's curious why he is starting these matches, right? Like,
it's easier to get a player on your team when he's already there, right?
Yeah.
So that's true too. Like,
yeah,
wherever we're gonna get him, it's easier to already have him in camp to sign him than move him in from a different club or something. Yeah, and
it makes sense for rising tide lifts all boats. You put him in there and he lifts the level of the squad, and everybody else plays well because he's in there. So it makes sense for them to train with him, even if he's not in the plans to sign. Again, from what we've heard, but oh
my bad.
I'm
Tries number 5.
Trialist 5. No, I just found that interesting that he keeps seeing some time with the loyal kid on.
You know, we've said this before, right? But sorry, go ahead, Drew. I'll finish.
I was going to say you can double up Guido in practice, so it does help because your best player really in trying to show what he can create and try and practice with that. That's your limitation, right? You only have so many hours to get your 10 in a position where other people can read those type of runs. And the good thing is they complement each other so well as players. You can really, it's that first, second team quarterback thing. So you can send him out like they did, have Guido play in the first matchup there, and then have Ibarra play in the second one, and be able to have that kind of, phase in and out, which is really nice too. So I'm sure just from a practicing standpoint, that helps everybody because it is like having that, as for lack of a better term, a quarterback in that position and giving him more reps with those type of players. Even if it's not Guido doing that, they're getting in the right positions like Jack was. That looks like a run that I'm expecting Jack to make with Guido a lot this year. And so to see that already happening, even though it's a different player, that's the kind of stuff that to me, looks really good to say, okay, that's, even if it's not 1904 and it's, maybe USL level competition, we can still, piece together. We can see the visualization. Jerry, you got more on Ibarra?
Yeah, I mean, so I always said from the beginning, I'm the one on this podcast that said we're not signing him because I thought I was, kind of alluded to by somebody that I trust very much. And it just doesn't make sense to have him in the squad. However, it also doesn't make sense to play him these matches.
Yeah, that's what I'm
He's
saying.
taking up a spot for somebody, he's taking up a spot for somebody that could potentially actually be coming to the squad if he's not. So it's just very interesting, and we'll see. Like Corbin said, and he's been saying it for a while, he's thoroughly convinced that Ibarra is staying. It's no longer a vacation, right?
Yeah.
He's been there a month.
I mean, if he was here training for a week or two, that's different than it's been a month. He's starting matches, I don't know.
It is very hard to get international travel arrangements right now. Even
Sure.
if you're part of a club, you're waiting on visas, you're waiting on certain things that are just much more difficult in 2021 than they were in 2019, for instance. So it is possible that he is just trying to stay match fit, train up here. So then he does interface with a different club. He's ready to go. He's at a facility where he can take medicals, that kind of thing. To me, that all does make sense. But again, if a player's already in your camp, he's already there, and he's looking for a team, it's a lot easier to get that player probably onto your squad, and he's a great player. So it'd be hard to say no in any aspect, but we do already have a 10. So that's where I think, he has a lot of value, at least is being able to double up and give that kind of look, to different groups of players that you can clone in some ways in practice, which is always helpful. But moving forward, it is hard because, as Jerry said, you're just giving him space. You're giving him time that they've told us they're very serious about bringing back select players, and not loyal select, but certain players as opposed to too many players. So that's just where it's also very curious to have him still hanging around camp, but maybe again, he's there with a purpose, and his purpose is give us as much good looks at 10 and give us some ideas maybe that we didn't have before too. And maybe it's his brain just as much as his shoes that's keeping him there too. So I don't know, but it's fun to speculate about it. It's kind of a fun little thing to hang on.
Landon Donovan's second team in USL is going to be a 2-8 formation. 2 center backs, 2 wing backs, 3 number 10s, a couple wingers, a forward, 2 forwards.
Oh my gosh.
Go for it.
Wouldn't throw it past Nate Miller.
No, for real.
Messing with that.
Yeah. What do they call it? What's beyond a Gegenpress? Is that the what's the greater German term? Something like that. Yeah. We'll come up with the San Diego term for it.
That would be crazy.
Chat room. That's your job by the end of the episode here.
Yeah, I mean, everybody agrees. I think, well, except for Afmir. Afmir doesn't agree because he doesn't know who Ibarra is. He said, "Who is Ibarra?" That's a great question. He's a guy. He has hair. Some. No, he played in MLS. He played USL for many years and was very successful at the USL level. Moved on to MLS. Was in a few MLS teams. Minnesota United. He was, I think, most recently with the Sounders, and he's a free agent. And so he
played in Liga MX too.
Yeah, Agüero coming to Loyal? No, dude, no.
That's partially why we thought
Landon Press
might not be coming. Is Landon Press is a good term. Thanks, McDuffie.
Like
Ibarra, partially why we thought is because like Agüero, he cost too much, right? We thought in terms of normal dollars of where he's at, that for USL it might be a little bit too rich. So it does all those things to consider, that why we're pretty convinced. But again, he's still there. We don't know.
And
Yeah,
I think we're probably spending too much time on this, but it's also I'm not going to let it go by that. Rubio was definitely I'd say above USL Championship level, but he kind of used this as a springboard to sign for an MLS club. So maybe Miguel Ibarra saw that as an opportunity and maybe sees this as a chance to do the same thing. Something interesting to note. Again, no idea, but it is definitely noteworthy that he's getting minutes in these games.
Yeah,
these
absolutely.
are the most fun guys in any league. So why wouldn't you want to play with these guys? That's all I'm saying. Like, I just think guys are having fun with this club, and it's a good sign that people want to hang out. People want to hang around, even if he has no club. Like, just hey, we have really talented people who want to hang out with our players. That's a great thing. I think it's usually a sign of a good locker room anyway. That you can bring somebody in like that and have them hang out, maybe without a contract or without a definite thing as well. So all of that, again, I think is pretty good.
Yeah, I think moving past that and into what we really need to talk about, we're not going to spend a terrible amount of time on this, I hope, because I do want to get to John and talk about the awesome work that he's been doing as well. But I obviously want to make sure also that we do cover this enough. But guys, we have a schedule now. Obviously, they teased us a little bit with the opening match, the first home match, which we're playing 2 first home matches for other people, and then our own coming back. But it won't be until May. So the schedule has now been released. There is no breaks in there. And talking about, another number 10, or talking about an Ibarra that could possibly fill in for Guido at times, Drew, schedule is one that we're probably going to need, somebody back there once in a while, because there's some almost, very just multiple games, one after another, with very little rest in between, maybe 2 days at most. So we really, really are going to need that depth. And I don't see it right now. Maybe they do. And they said it from the beginning. We're going to be coming into this with a little bit of a thinner squad, but you never know. They may be looking. I know Sal said to us here on the podcast, Sal Ciso mentioned, I don't want to speak for them, he said, but they may be looking into MLS players that weren't getting picked up, especially during like the transfer windows and all of that, where we could be bringing in, and the squad that you see now may not be, just like in 2020, may not be the squad you see at the end of this season. So, John, what are your first takeaways? I'm sure you already went through this schedule. And if not, I'm sure you have it pulled up. What sticks out to you?
Well, I haven't looked at it too much because I've been a little busy. But I have glanced at it, and I think it's interesting. We start on the road quite a bit. We had talked about that a little bit before the show started, about with USD and football and some other issues going on. But we have the huge home stands, I guess, through July and August. I mean, that's just home game after home game after home game. There's a series there where I think there's only, in a huge chunk, there's only 2 or 3 away games. So I hope we're able to get to a point with our COVID situation that's really more, I don't care who we play. I just like for the situation to be where we can be back in the stands again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Between June 12th and September 5th, that's 3 months. We have 4 away games. The rest are home matches.
Yeah.
Clear your summers, guys. Clear your summers.
I do want to say, if you want to hear like a much better breakdown of the schedule, go ahead and check out our friends over at Unnamed Soccer Podcast, and also check out our friends over at Fairweather Podcast, who did a really good job of going through this schedule and kind of breaking it down. One of the things that I take away from the Unnamed Soccer Podcast, Jordan mentioned that when you look at it, it looks like a play. It looks like a 3-piece like theater thing where it's a movie almost, he said, where you have, kind of like the beginning, the climax, and then the resolve, or whatever it is. I don't know the exact terms. Maybe Drew can help us out with it, but you listen to it, right? I think you listened to the pod.
Yeah, I listened to some of it. I never listened to that podcast. What are you talking about? All my thoughts are my own. They're totally independent, which is a lie, because I text Jordan after and I'm like, "Why did you say this?" So he knows when I listen. But I feel like he says things just to get me to text too. But the one of the things they said was, you're looking at that setup, right? You're looking at that climax kind of in the middle, in terms of just game after game after game. And you do have, early on, you have that test of we're playing Phoenix twice away before we play them at home, right? Those are kind of a couple themes here in this, play, if you will, or movie, if you will, where you have 3 acts. So that second act, we really get a lot more of those games in. Then that third act, we go on the road again and have some tough games to finish out the season, but it'll be a lot of sort of unproven teams in my estimation. You have some hard games in there, but you have a lot of teams like LA Galaxy 2 who can be in or out depending on the match and depending on the players. Roots, who are coming, up to this tier this year and have a good squad, but at the same time could also be first year through a long season. At the end of a season, we've got a few matches against them, but they're away, right? So that's the kind of stuff where you have this ebb and flow of, obviously, we said the middle part is very home heavy. It's just that sense of the first part, I think, is going to be maybe the hardest chunk, the test chunk, right? Where we find out against Louisville, we find it against Phoenix away, how good this team is. That second part is proving it again, but doing it at home. And I think a lot of ways establishing the culture here of the club, hopefully over those kind of 2 or 3 months there. And then you get to the end of the season here and it becomes the chase for the playoffs, right? Staying in those top spots in your division and really just trying to box out somebody like Orange County from sneaking in, or somebody like, as I said, Los Dos, or even somebody like Oakland, if they have a really good run this year. And Sacramento is going to be just as, formidable and difficult to move as they were last year in our singular match. We got a few of them against them here. And that's going to be another one that I think we're going to start dreading a little bit, that we just kind of see coming around the corner and go, oh, we have to play them, and we have to play them, right before Orange County and Phoenix, so it is that kind of thing where it compounds when you look at these dates next to each other. That's where it becomes a little bit more interesting. But again, Tuesdays, as Jerry said, Wednesdays, there is some interesting matches in here after maybe Saturdays. Never like a Sunday, Tuesday or anything like that. But I think you do have maybe like a Sunday, Wednesday turnaround every once in a while, or Sunday, Thursday. So there is those short 3 or 4 day turnarounds in here a couple times too. Yeah, but it's a long schedule. It's a lot longer than last year.
Long one. But here's the thing, like for me, like a big thing that stuck right out was we are done with Phoenix by July. We're done.
Yeah.
We've played them all 4 matches by the end of July. And there's still a lot of games to be played after that. So you don't have a lot of control. You have to be good right off the bat. You need to start and unfortunately the beginning of this is the majority of it is away. So that's going to be really important for us to have something really well put together by the time we kick off on the 30th. It's just we have to.
Yeah, I was mentioning that before we started recording that, last season, I think we finished really strong, and that's when we beat Phoenix away. That's when we obviously played them at home, and then the Colin Martin situation, and we were controlling that match, by far. We seemed to end really well last year, and that was a few key additions, and maybe we'll have that right off the bat this year. But yeah, there's no playing around at the beginning of the season. Somebody mentioned it. I think Judy mentioned it. Louisville, they won USL Championship 2 years ago, and while there's a lot of turnover, that still speaks to the kind of the club in general. Phoenix 4 times, really early 3. I think it's 3 of the 4 matches we're going to play them in the first 9. So that's huge, Yeah. There's a lot to step up and really take it from the start. And something else, one of you guys mentioned was the schedule. So yeah, early on, I kind of have a days between my little spreadsheet here. It's, we got a 6 day gap, 7 day gap, 9 day gap, 7, then a 4 day gap, then a 3 day gap. So, we've talked a lot about this, and I'm not going to run through the whole thing, but we've talked a lot about how this is a 32 game schedule in 27 weeks. There's going to be quite a bit of midweek action here. There's a lot of Thursdays, some Tuesdays, some Fridays, some Wednesdays. So it's really going to speak to the health and training and fitness and depth, which, I think we've talked a lot about how strong we think the starting 11 is going to be. And we've had some discussions on some of the maybe, first guys off the bench depth, but what's going to happen if a center back goes down? What's going to happen if a fullback goes down? You know what I mean? What our depth is going to get tested there. And I'm really curious on how that's going to be. But speaking to the kind of the Phoenix in the early part of the schedule, the early parts of seasons is typically when, you find most of your health. So that could kind of benefit us. That could also benefit Phoenix. So there's a lot of play here that is really dynamic, but it's all really, really interesting.
Yeah, they're lucky they don't have to face us near the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's what they faced us last year, and they were scared of us.
Right.
They had to,
Right.
they had to back out entirely, and then
I think the
even
league-
just be like, we're not sure if we want to be champions. They were just very unsure of the whole thing, right? It was their fault that there was no champion, right? I'm just blaming them for everything.
But something,
Yeah.
something else that stood out to me, something else that really stood out to me is that July 3rd game, Saturday, Sacramento at home, but it's being played at 11 a.m. Okay,
Yeah.
there's
times
something
on
going
these,
on there. I
right?
think that's got to do with broadcasting. I think that's going to be a pretty good opportunity for us to in San Diego to showcase what we got, and hopefully by July 3rd. I mean, it's obviously still too early to know what the summer's going to look like, but hopefully things are back to the way we want them to be, at least to a good amount, and we can put on a show.
Bro, it's at 11?
I'm projecting, but I think it's clear if there's an 11 a.m. match when every other game is 7:30 or 5 o'clock or 3 o'clock or something like that. 11 a.m. is kind of it stands out to me.
They just really want to
Trying to
get
get
us
that
drunk
deal.
that whole 4th of July weekend is what it is.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna
They're
just
gonna
have
succeed.
a really long 4th of July weekend.
Yeesh.
At least I'm projecting. That's what it is.
No, but there's I do think what you guys are saying is true, is that there is a showcase element to some of these games, right? The Phoenix game on a Friday, obviously, to start the season is going to be a big national matchup probably for them to showcase here. So
Yeah.
there is a few different of these that you can see that maybe they haven't announced are going to be television dates, but there's something going on there. And the other part of that too is they can always change the times on us. So last year this happened a lot coming up to the season. They even moved the game up or back an hour, I think 2 or 3 times coming up to March 7th, just to be like, oh, it's going to be 8 now. Oh, no, it's going to be 7 now. Like that even happened a few times. So that kind of stuff does move, and don't be super surprised, especially in our uncertain times. But, the cool part is we have dates. We have dates to look forward to on a calendar. That is something that is revolutionary in our day, unfortunately. And I love it, though. I'll take it, and I'm excited. And just looking at all these red dates on our little graph here that I made red to be home dates are exciting. I mean, it's just thinking about the possibilities and being with everybody and creating these traditions, together is the real fun part of doing this entire group. That's why we do it. So I'm going to play a real quick game with you guys. Points in the first 10 games. So what do you think? We're talking Phoenix, Rio Grande. I'm just going to run through the teams real quick, and then you can kind of formulate in your heads what you think the points are going to be for this group. And then we'll get to the end and see where we land. So the first 10 are Phoenix, RGV, Tacoma, Louisville, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Orange County, LA Galaxy 2, Phoenix Rising FC, and Vegas Lights again.
You go first,
10.
sir.
How many points do you have?
What do you think?
For the first 10 matches,
Yes.
16.
Okay. I think that puts us in the playoffs, but just to give us a barometer starting the year. What about you, John?
I'd rather
Do you have any idea?
I'd rather hit low,
Yeah.
and then hopefully they do a lot better than that. But
Wow,
we'll see.
Jerry. Wow.
But that's about the barometer. We're still making the playoffs and not do great. I think through that first month. So it's not
dude.
awesome, but it's enough to get through kind of what's the
I said
rough patch.
30 at first, and you guys are like, ha. So now you get 16.
I'll go with 19, a number here in San Diego. We love
There
it.
you go.
We love
Oh wow.
19.
Oh wow, Steve.
Yeah.
I don't think it's too odd. You got Phoenix, or not Phoenix. You got RGV. You got Tacoma in there. RGV isn't a pushover. They usually have some really good players, kind of like Los Dos, but they're a little more removed. They're kind of one of those two teams that is separated, but it does have 2 players. So, usually a good development academy there as well. So it is a pretty big wild card, but that's usually when you'd pencil in as 3, and same with Tacoma, just for anybody listening at home. But you look at Louisville, right? That's one away that you're almost like, how are we going to get, if we get anything out of that? That's great, right? So, John, what are you thinking in terms of 30 points available, 10 matches here? What do you think in the first 10?
I'm going to set the bar even higher. I'm going to go 22. I think they come out hot.
Yeah. So you're
Love
looking at just steamrolling LA Galaxy 2 here, huh? Or do you think we're going to get
Just trying to
a
make
Phoenix match at home?
I hope, maybe it's more my hope that's talking, but the guys seem pumped and everybody's raring to go with the season, I think they start hot. I don't know that they maintain it all season long, but I think they come out hot.
And maybe being at home in the middle is great there because we'll land on maybe they're firing and they kind of are not coming apart at the seams, but they need some, repair, and they're coming into home, and we got these home stands, and I fall right in there. I'd say 1922. I'm right with you guys, Steve and John, somewhere in the middle there. And then Jerry, my pessimism does look at some of this and say going to Phoenix twice, Orange County away, where they just seemed to frustrate us last year, and they're very good at frustrating lots of teams, honestly, at that Orange County Soccer Park. For anybody who's watched some of their matches, that's what they're exceptionally skilled at doing.
Reality of being away games. I mean, these are all majority of them are away games. These are 3 home matches, guys. So I feel like I'm a little bit more on the realistic side than you are, but that's okay because I'd rather be closer to what John is saying. Like, absolutely. I'd rather be in the 20s, 100%. If we are in the 20s by the end of the first 10 matches, we're in really good shape. Really good shape. So, no, I love it. That's a really good one, Drew. I appreciate that one. We do have to get moving because I want to ask a couple other people what they think about, these matches coming up. Actually, how's this? For those of you that are here right now with us live on the broadcast, start sending us some dates that you're looking forward to go away for an away match. Start kind of sending it on the comments. Check this out for right now.
We get a height difference though. Check it out, guys. Let me stand next to someone that's a little bit shorter.
A lot of away matches at the beginning.
A lot of away matches. We're on the road. I see one kind of cool one, huh? We play Morgan's dad. We played Morgan's dad. We're playing his dad. We're playing the pops.
What's the family group chat like on a match when you're playing them?
My mom is having panic attacks, and my brothers are always on my side.
Let's go.
So the banter is very high for the Hackworth derbies. So that'll be exciting. Is that what we're gonna call it? The Hackworth derby? Nah, we can't. Call it that.
We gotta think of something.
No, we can't call it that.
We can call it that. No, the Louisville City away will be a really fun game, I think.
They have a great stadium.
Great stadium, great team.
It's gonna be a great atmosphere. It's just gonna be a really good test for us.
Yeah, especially early.
Especially early on to see where we're at.
Was that a yellow card in Grant Stoneman's pocket? He's ready to go for it.
I think he has one ready in case they show him one. He'll be like, "I give you a yellow card." Already ready.
You give me a yellow card? Oh, I give you a yellow card. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, 2 of these and you're walking off. Get out of here. Yeah,
this one's my favorite one right here, Drew. Check this one out.
I love competing against everybody, but I mean all four Phoenix games. I mean, I hate Phoenix, so those games I'm really looking forward to. So April 30th can't come quick enough.
Let's go. We agree with you. All of us.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, check it out.
I hate Phoenix.
Yes, it made it on the board, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, that's awesome.
I hate Phoenix. I hate Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do I?
Yeah, and I'll say for away trips, I'm gonna be the responsible president and say we just don't know what it's gonna look like yet. We're not sure if we can travel. We're not sure if we can organize stuff. We still haven't heard from Phoenix if we're going to be able to go as an organized supporters group. I'm sorry, I can't remember who posted in our Discord, but or on the Facebook group. I honestly can't remember who that was, but they something showed Phoenix is planning on only season ticket holders at their first match and for no resale either. So the ticket name has to match your ID or some sort of identification. I don't know how that's really going to work, or if it's going to stay that way, or if that's just the current plan with the current tier that the Maricopa County is in. But just worth saying that while we're all looking forward to away trips, and I certainly am, I've said it from the very beginning that away trips is one of the things I've looked forward to the most through this whole thing. We just don't know yet what it's going to look like. Numbers are going up in some areas. We just gotta be careful. I'm
not paying attention to at all because I was watching Drew open up. Is that from Second Gens?
Yes. So this is the
Oh, okay. The rest of it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Stone collab.
Nice.
This is the Stone collab.
The upside down label.
Funny story about this. I got this and I was like, wow, the label's upside down here, Jerry. What happened? And I thought it was a mistake because they rolled them for us direct. They're legit down there at 3 Punks. Normally they'll have them in the fridge ready to go. Every once in a while, though, if they don't have that beer and that crowd ready to go, they will make it that 4-pack for you, which is just the nicest thing ever. But they did that for us, and Jerry picked it up for me and told me what happened.
Yeah, so he was basically like, any of you guys fans of Stone? And I was like, yeah, we're all of Stone. And so he like purposefully switched the label around because he made the 4-packs. They didn't have any 4-packs there at Three Punks because they sell out because it's so darn good. Their beer is amazing. So they made a few 4-packs for us while I was there. And he just happened to do that.
It's an upside down.
It's pretty good.
The other one,
Cool
this is
label.
the
You didn't
correct
save that one.
side
No?
up. But yes, it's the it was a inside joke that we all also found very funny as locals. So I hope you, as locals listening, also find this kind of funny.
Yeah, hopefully it's a funny thing to you because I thought it was hilarious. Steve, I just want to point out real quick, and thanks to the help of my great friend, he is literally the Tom to my Jerry, Mr. Tom Phillips. He helped me to realize something very, very true, that you're being a total hypocrite, sir, talking about away trips while you're literally on an away trip.
Hey, I have
You're in
no
Arizona.
Scouting.
I wouldn't be here if I didn't have to be here.
Okay.
And I'm talking about the locals. I'm talking about travel to a stadium.
Oh, whatever.
I'm working in a lab. You know what I mean? It's different.
Yeah. No,
That's-
and it does
doesn't look
start
like a
with.
lab.
It does
You made
start-
me chuckle though. That was good. That was good. That made me laugh.
yeah.
It made me laugh.
Of
We
course, yeah.
we talked about this last week, the Stephen Drew show last week, but you can hear us mainly just kind of ad nauseum talk about just too much, the fact that we need allotment to actually make a thing
Yeah.
work. So if there's no tickets, we can't organize a trip. That's pretty
Right,
much
and-
as easy as it goes. So
and-
until they tell us, hey, you can maybe get tickets for this as away supporters, as an official trip is very difficult. And if there's no tickets available officially to people who aren't supposed to be there as season ticket holders, there's really nothing we can do organized. But again, as we've said, it's up to you individually as those tickets go up for sale, how they can be acquired and how you want to do it.
And I mean, to put it in perspective, like,
I hate Phoenix.
Say our home match on the 29th of May, if Loyal allowed less fans, less San Diegans, because they allowed Vegas away supporters in, we would be furious. You know what I mean? Like, why don't you let our supporters in first? And I mentioned it last week, but USL standard is, away supporters have tickets, a ticket allotment, but not during COVID, not during, these times. So like, you got to look at it from that perspective too, and have that kind of, ability to take a step back and say, if the tides were flipped, we wouldn't want it the other way either. So
Yeah, I'm honestly expecting maybe June in Phoenix, and then Orange County. I'm not sure, but that would be maybe the first dates we might see someone say, "Hey, away fans can have tickets." Honestly, just based on everything I'm hearing nationally in the different markets that are represented here, even places like Washington State, right, are going to be more tight-lipped, and even Texas, right, where it's all open. I don't know if anybody's going to make it all the way out to Rio Grande. Maybe that will be the one that you can attend, but some of these are on weird days, right? Like that's on a Thursday. I don't know who's going out on a Thursday, unless you live in Texas, in which case you listen to this. Congrats. Maybe you'll be able to catch this match. And you can go and hopefully be safe and have a great time. But for most of us, I don't think we're really going to be looking at anything until June, in an organized way, at least looking at these dates. But beyond that, and then we have a lot of home dates, right? So we don't have to think about going away, which is great. And then maybe on the back half, as we've always talked about in those kind of August, September dates, we can really have some awesome trips, especially Vegas there in September is one I have my eye on. That looks like a great
I
date.
had no idea I was ever gonna drive to Las Vegas to go watch LAFC. That's the weirdest thing ever. Never thought in my life that I would drive to Las Vegas to watch LAFC in a home match.
Right.
Weird. But yeah, there you go.
And you can see some of these are on weird days, right? Usually what they
That'd be
did
cool.
nicely, at least to our opponents, is gave our LA opponents, if they are midweek games, they only have to drive here instead of fly somewhere. And I think they did something similar for us with a lot of these dates too. So, if you are looking at that, hopefully they are a little bit more commutable later in the season, but it does look mostly like our harder days of the week, as well as our harder days to travel to, are going to be mostly early season, which most of us can't make anyway. So
Yeah,
all of that
OC
kind of
matches
stuff,
are all
we'll
Wednesdays.
see how it heats up.
All the OC matches are all on Wednesdays, but their home matches. It's
It's like
annoying.
they have some ultra culture they want to keep out of the stands, but we'll still outnumber their supporter group. Sorry guys, we love you, but we're still you're still Orange County, we're still in San Diego, so we're gonna have to.
This is dangerous.
represent.
This is dangerous right here.
Vegas is a Friday. Yes.
Vegas is a
that I
Friday.
noticed as
I
well.
know.
Phoenix has a couple in there that are Fridays as well, right? So it's got the first one's a Friday.
Second one's a Saturday.
Second one's a Saturday, yeah, and then you have the home ones here are Saturday and Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, those are big.
We need
do
a
you guys
trip.
like a Sunday match or a Saturday match? What do you prefer generally, John? John, what do you prefer? What's your, as a man who's steered in the mystique and kind of just seeps in the marination of soccer, as somebody who shows up early and loves the whole day of it? What's your favorite day? You like Saturday or Sunday better?
I like Saturday.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Give us a day to recover.
Yeah, that's the big part, is the day to recover. And you got the full day there with the Saturday. You got Friday weekend. I mean, fortunately for me, I work a Monday through Friday job, so the weekends work perfectly. I know that doesn't work for everybody, but for me, it would be Saturdays.
Yeah.
I like the mystique of a Sunday sometimes. It's nice to have that kind of, hey, we're the one game on that everybody's watching. That's kind of fun on a Sunday. But yeah, I do think for supporters culture, Saturday with our voices, especially if you do have to teach or speak in front of anyone, I'm sure that Saturday is much more preferred, just for generally the whole wind up and cool down, right? But yeah, let us know in the comments too if you guys have any thoughts. If you like a weird midweek matchup, sometimes those Thursday nights are crazy and have a whole different energy anyway. Those kind of midweek matches where people are just letting it out. It's raw. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Something we haven't mentioned yet would be the out of conference matches. So there's, we talked about this kind of the structure a bunch before.
Yeah.
4 out of conference, quote unquote, out of conference matches. Those 4 are Rio Grande, Louisville. Those are both away early. And then Real Monarchs midseason August 7th. And at the end, New Mexico United comes to town October 17th. Those are the 4 out of conference.
We've had a little bit of like a love dalliance with those guys. They, the whole group has seemed like they really
Good
embraced
people.
us just openly and sent out like feelers and messages when we first started to a few of us, just saying, "Hey, you guys are in for a great thing. We just went through this." It was kind of after their first year, so it'll be really fun to connect with New Mexico. I think we have kind of a kindred spirit, and we both hate Phoenix a lot, so we have that in common. Which
I hate
is
Phoenix.
fun. So. I do think this like frenemy or like bro, like stepbrothers type thing is definitely we could call it like the stepbrother derby for sure, because that's kind of how it feels a little bit. It's like, did we become best friends? I don't know, but maybe fighting with a bike and a tire for a little bit in the yard here later this year. So that's the one I definitely have circled on my calendar that I'm most looking forward to, is that just because the variety, because you're going to play these other teams so much that it feels like when I was writing them in here, I was like, oh my gosh, like Sacramento Republic, we're going to get them a lot. We didn't see them as much last year, but we'll get them a lot this year. And is there anybody who you're tired of seeing on this calendar already? I think Galaxy 2 is that one date that's just going to always keep coming up, and you're like, what is this match going to be? I don't know what to deal with. Is there anybody else you look at the schedule and you're just like, not like bad, or not like scared of, just like bad, like I don't know about this date?
No, give us all.
No, I mean, the last thing I'll really say about the schedule, we've talked about trends, would be end of the season. We play a lot of Sunday matches. I think that has to do with a lot with USD football. I think 4 of our last 5 home matches are Sundays, 3 p.m. home matches, starting in late September. So starting to maybe cool off and get some afternoon, beautiful, early fall afternoon soccer. But we'll see,
Yeah. And to that point, the reason that I think, that's great is that we do have the stadium to our teams, our club self, from pretty much that late May through when we talked about that period, June 12th, pretty much through the late August period. That'll be entirely Loyal's field. So nobody else will be playing there. Legion won't be playing there. And then football will come in late at the late end of the summer there. But that's the nice part, is we will have which in soccer in the United States for a shared stadium is a very rare thing to have a pitch to yourself for that long. So I'm excited to see how that holds up as well, because we know that through the middle of the year, it did look a little more torn up last year, as is the case anytime you're playing multiple sports, rugby, football, that kind of stuff with bigger cleats.
There's been a few games, I think, like from the women's and the men's football soccer team for USD recently that were played in the field itself. It doesn't look like it's in the greatest of shape, and that you can see the football lines on it actually. So, I mean, we'll see. So yeah, you're right, Drew. It's very important, and it's good to know that, we get it all to ourselves, at least for a portion of it, even is a good thing. So, we need to move on, guys. We need to get into John because we have a lot to talk about with John. Here's the thing: if you're gonna hang out a little bit after, we might hit a few more things about the schedule, possibly, maybe. But like I mentioned, please go in and follow our friends over at Unnamed Soccer Podcast as well as Fairweather, who did a very good job of, talking about the schedule as well. And we'll continue to talk about it as we go through. There's a lot of you that chimed in about places that you want to go, but our dad over here, Steve, had to come and whatever. To jump into our guest today, and no jump into him, but to get into a conversation with John. I appreciate you having me in your background this entire time, by the way, John. I really appreciate
it. I didn't change it, yeah. You are. That's the sequence I'm working on right now is the March to the Match from March 7th.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's Drew, do that again. It's exactly it. Oh, wow.
I can't see the chat, but I would like to do a quick shout out to Jeff Barger because he's the one who supplied that clip right there that is going to be in the documentary because I was somewhere else and I didn't get that shot. So that is going to be a very prominent piece. I want to personally thank him very much, publicly thank him very much for that clip.
Cool. Yeah, and of course it's an ugly face. No, but I'm very excited to get into this conversation with you, John, because you've been doing a lot of work, not just with the documentary here that you're doing for the locals. I believe the title is Forever Loyal?
Correct.
All right. I got it right. Yeah, I'm very much a member of Patreon and have been enjoying all of that. But not only that, you've been working with the soccer community here in San Diego and doing, documentaries, little mini docs on everything going on in the soccer community and culture here in San Diego, which there's a lot of, surprisingly large amount. And the fact that you have put aside so many projects that I've saw that list and you're working on this documentary means the world to all of us. So we're glad to have you, sir. For those of you, again, that don't know who John Cross is, he is what you would call just a gentleman, a scholar, and he's also part of Big Pine Digital, or he is Big Pine Digital.
Yes, I am.
Digital and Soccer Shorts, which you can go and check out on YouTube right now. But even better, you should be supporting on Patreon. He's doing local grassroots stories that you need to watch, that you need to really, really watch. I promise you, there's so much cool stuff. Drew knows about it. Bridge Barcata has a couple of episodes in there. You go through a lot of different groups. So, John, let's get into it, man. I want to know, first and foremost, how did you get into the sport of soccer? Because I know that you have a bit of a background in it.
Well, my father is English, and that's the first kind of piece. And he was one of the people, I grew up for a little while in Rancho Bernardo, and he, along with some other people, started the very first youth league that was out there. And I was in third grade, and I remember playing, and I was horrible, absolutely horrible. But I also loved it. And that year, my parents divorced, and we went back with my mom back to Palm Springs, which is where her family was from. And I kept playing, and then all of a sudden something happened between the third grade and fourth grade, and all of a sudden I was very good at playing soccer. But I loved it, always had a passion for it. When I was growing up in Palm Springs, I would be one of those, I don't know, because of my age, how many people remember this, but there was a show, actually I think they have a reboot of it now, but Soccer Made in Germany was an hour-long show on PBS with Toby Charles. And we would be doing our neighborhood baseball games, football games, basketball games, whatever we were playing in the neighborhood with all the kids. But whenever that came on, I think it was like Thursdays at 4:00 in the afternoon or 5:00, I would leave to go watch Soccer Made in Germany because it was my only taste that I could get of soccer. And I did that for years and then kept played through high school. And I've just have been a fan and been in love with the game. Probably initially as an influence by my father, but I think I have surpassed him in my passion for the game, because I think I drive him a little crazy with my love for soccer. That's my general background.
Yeah. So I think for a lot of people, that show was actually kind of the gateway into it because it was all you could really watch for a long time in the US, right? Soccer Made in Germany. That was
right.
like,
And especially English speaking.
Yeah.
We did have, my Spanish is still not fantastic, but we did get a Spanish channel sometimes on UHF. You could pick it up because, again, I'm that old, getting signals on UHF on my television. But we could pick up I remember watching some World Cup matches. One of the nice things about growing up in Palm Springs is you had so many people who were not native to California and came from all over the world. So there would be organized watch parties. And we had one summer, I remember we had our local access channel actually air the World Cup matches. It's somehow somebody had helped arrange for that. And we had like special closed circuit access to the World Cup. And I want to say it's like 78, I think it was, which was fantastic for a kid who loved soccer and you couldn't get it anywhere else. It was barely on. You got the NASL sometimes growing up, but to be able to get high level international soccer was fantastic.
Yeah, it's like being on YouTube for the first time. It's like, you're exposed to this thing. Like, there's just so many possibilities that you didn't have before by just being able to absorb through osmosis, right? Like the whole process. That is cool. That's super cool.
So then, kind of going from your background in the sport into your current, role in life / involvement with the sport. You're a high school teacher. I know you've coached high school soccer. How did that kind of transition from watching PBS as a kid into where you are now? With regards to soccer specifically, we'll transition into your documentary videography in a minute.
Well, I played in high school, but had a little, I guess, conflict with the coach and didn't play my senior year. Chose to step away from the game. Had a chance to play thought about, which was foolish, first of all, but thought about walking on at San Diego State when I went there. And I remember going out, thinking about it, went to watch a little practice, and immediately was like, okay, these guys are way better than I am. I have no chance of making this team. But did play some pickup games with some people from the teams at different times. So just always stayed involved. But when I was in college, my very first apartment I lived in was next to a park. And I just go down there and kick the soccer ball around sometimes just when I had some extra time. And one day I was there and this youth team showed up. And I just started talking with the coach. And next thing I knew was I was assistant coach for the team. And then I started coaching within that club. And then I started at my current high school and I was the coach there for a little while. And then a variety of things, I stepped back from the game. One of the issues for really stepping away from the coaching or being involved in that way is my issues with skin cancer. I can't be out in the sun the same way. So I took a big step back from that. And I think that's what helped channel also some of the video portion of it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to see your story kind of, be a light that's not just, something that has to follow your passion, but almost has to transition from modal of life, right? I'm in this phase of life. I'm here where I now need to do this, or my life has determined where I need to go here. But the passion underlying that, kind of the river under all of it, is that love of the game and just trying to find a way and an outlet to get there. And when I first met you, was mostly through Barkada and then through some of this through Soccer City as well. But that was kind of the duality was we would go out and we would do that. But really seeing you at those events made sense. We would see other cameras. We'd see other people there. You were always there longer. You always had the best angles. You also had more of an angle on us as supporters always, which was awesome. And to me, that's what stood out. But it was when you came to Barkada, nobody was there. It was just me, Carl, and a few other people. And then you would help us clean. And we were like, hey man, you want to play? And you're like, I just can't play as much anymore. I'm just not into it. But I want to document this. I want to be here for the story. And I just love what you guys are doing. And you were really one of the first people there. So John is a part of what we started. He just liked filming and watching it happen and being a part of helping as well as he could. But that was, always something that, to me, you with the camera there is one of the things I always remember is like, we're all just here kicking around in this thing under an overpass, and this guy really wants to point a camera and it knew, that this was something that was, obviously you could see before any of us could see what was happening there. And so that talent, to know, we were talking before, where to point a camera. And not just that, getting into the multimedia side beyond, as you said, the coaching and maybe finding a different phase of life for that. But beyond that, what really drew you to telling stories? Because that's really what it is, right? And Soccer Shorts these days, local grassroots stories, telling these stories of people that you had met in the soccer industry and taking up that medium. What parts of those, I guess, spoke to you, and what skills maybe did you have starting out?
Well, I had always had an interest in video production my whole life. I don't know if it was growing up in Palm Springs or not, or any of that influence. I always loved movies. I had a friend whose father was the lead singer for the Diamonds, the old 50s group, and had some Hollywood connections. And I loved the idea of movies and movie making, but it was nothing I ever seriously pursued going to college, because I think my parents would have killed me if I ever pursued something along those lines. But it was always just in the
time too. Yeah.
Right. Well, it was always in the back of my mind. We had growing up, I don't know how we acquired it, but growing up, we ended up with right at the boom of when it was the VHS beta wars, we ended up with a RCA VHS camera and a player and a television. All of a sudden we had all these new things, and I played around with that camera all the time. They had a great single frame image button on there. So I do all these stop motion kind of videos, just spend hours out in the backyard moving cars and other things around to create 6 seconds of footage, by the end of the day. So I always had an interest, and then never really did much with it afterwards. But once I had a family, I really got into the idea of documenting our travels, our vacations, what we do. And from a very early age, we'd get the kids to, the kids hated it at first, and then they loved it. But every hour, someone had to give me 5 minutes of like whatever it is, wherever we are, whatever we're doing, just give me 5 minutes. And then I would edit them and put them together and make these home movies out of them. And we, to this day, we had a big trip we took to Britain in 2007, and all my kids are grown. They're adult. I think the youngest, if I can remember correctly, is 23 right now. They all come back and watch this. They love going back to watch, especially that video. That was our really big trip that we did. And just laugh about it, and just because it's them telling their story. And I think that's the style I like to do. If you've seen any of the stuff we do in Soccer Shorts, I try not to tell it like a broadcast journalism piece where I'm narrating a lot of it and showing a few clips. It's important to me to capture the voice and try to tell the story from the viewpoint of the subjects and have them craft and tell the story. I just weave it together, hopefully in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
But really have it be their story and not my voice and story on there as much as possible. I guess it is my voice and story because I'm editing it, but really have it be told through the subject's words. So I did that with home video, and everybody enjoyed them. I've done some other family ones, and what I had started to do is I started to do a business to do family history videos because I was getting into genealogy, and go and set up cameras and record especially elderly relatives who, capture those stories on film that we all have. We all have the relatives who tell the great stories, but capture those on film so you always have those and you can pass those down to generations. So I had an idea to do that. And then I was in someplace and saw a flyer it kind of two things happened at the same time. I was doing the video production program at our school, and it got cut. And just budget reasons, different things, they made a decision to cut it. And all of a sudden, I had extra time. And along the same time, I was in a place up here in Escondido, and saw an ad for North County Battalion, a new team that had started up. And I was like, all right, I'll go check it out. And I started talking to people. I don't remember who I talked to on that day, but I remember sending an email to Jason Barbato, one of the owners, and just said, and it was probably a painful loss, if I remember correctly. I think they were up 2-0 and they lost 3-2 by the end of the game. But I sent this email, just talked about, I just had a great time. It was the first experience I ever had where I felt like soccer culture was starting with a local team. And just said, hey, I have some experience doing these things, so if you'd like any help. And then next thing I knew, I'm helping do their live stream broadcasts with the North County Battalion. And then when they rolled over into surf as well, so I worked a lot with Nate Abarea in doing that those 2 years. That's where I met Marissa and DK, especially. My introduction to DK was there with North County Battalion. And then in and around this time also is when the Chargers left. And we had Soccer City come up. And I remember telling my wife that, like, I don't know what I'm doing exactly, but I'm going to take my camera. And I was out there on the Midway when they made that first announcement. I said, I'm going to film. And that was when I first got back involved with the American Outlaws. And I was filming the TIFO that they were doing for that game. And I said, I'm going to document this and tell a story from a supporter's perspective, however this plays out. And that was what was my intention. And, you know, it wasn't going to a vote initially and all this stuff. And I thought, all right, I had this plan. I'm going to record this. And starting in June in the summer, so when my school year finishes, then I'm going to release an episode a month. I planned out like 6 episodes, and I'll release the final episode right after the election. Of course, we all know how, if you're from San Diego, you know how the story played out. And the election gets pushed back a full year. It gets very political. I was still filming, but it just became a story that I didn't find was going to be fun for me to tell. I didn't want to invest the time and energy in telling that story. I think there's a very interesting story there that should be told. It doesn't interest me, though, to tell that story. It's not the kind, I don't want to do the investigative journalism story. That's not my style, again, if you've seen any of the things that we've put together. So as all that's winding down, and Soccer City, as we know, didn't pass with the election, and right before that is when Bridge Barcata starts up, and everybody keeps asking me, what are you going to do with all the footage that you have? Are you still going to do this? And I'm like, I don't think so. I'm not excited about it anymore. It's no longer the story. It didn't have to be that Soccer City was successful for me to tell the story. It just got so ugly. It wasn't a fun story to tell anymore.
It did.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then I remember right before all that happened, telling my wife, I was saying that, when they were doing the last round of MLS expansions, I was like, well, we're probably never getting a professional team here. So when that happened and the Chargers left, I was like, okay, here's my opportunity. I'm going to document it. I'm going to have fun and just tell a story from a fan's perspective. So Soccer City loses the election, and right before that, Bridge Barcata starts up. And I was frustrated, yes, a little bit, because I had put in 18 months of work, like lots of people, trying to get the Soccer City passed. But in the footage and everything I had, so what am I going to do with all these interviews I did, all this footage? But what I realized, and what I especially realized with Bridge Barcata, was there are still so many wonderful stories to tell about our soccer culture here in San Diego. And I'd met so many people. One of the best things about that whole Soccer City initiative was that it pulled our entire soccer community together for that period of time. And I got to meet so many more people that I never would have met otherwise, and make connections, hear other people's stories. And then as the Bridge Barcata stuff was unfolding, and as Drew said, I was there. I came for the second one. I wasn't there at the first one, but the first one, and I found out about it because DK posted something, and I was like, all right, I'm showing up for the second one. I didn't bring a camera. I'm really curious about this. I want to get out there, and I helped clean, but it was too hard on my knees to play on that concrete under the bridge. I'm in my 50s, so I think I had just been turned 50 that right around that time, and my knees couldn't take that couple hours of playing on concrete.
It's so big too under there. People don't understand. It's about the size of an indoor field. It's large in the original Barcata, so it isn't the size of like a basketball or futsal court. It is much wider and larger. So we would run under there, and it would be probably unhealthy for our lungs looking back somewhat until we cleaned it out more. But yeah, it was just so and it's hot too. It was hot when we first started, so you would just get heated up real fast and get worn out, but it felt great. But it was that sense of like, is my body okay with this? All of us were, and most of us were in our 30s starting too. So it was like, is my body okay with this? And we were all finding out kind of where our limits were and how to play too. So we were all meeting each other with kind of like, hey, are you good? Am I good? And for sure. So it was a question of, are you going to keep playing? But he kept showing up. He kept showing up with the camera and saying like, I want to be here for this because this is something, and obviously people are drawn to and reaching out to you to want to be a part of, which was the interesting part. And I think, continuing to shine a light and ask us questions made us almost ask, what are we doing here too? And so I think your ability to see a spark and notice it, kind of help fan our flame at least a little bit from that standpoint. So thank you for that. But it was something where from my end, I think it's really amazing to see where you are able to take those stories and our story, the Barcata story is very much seminally on John's timeline there on YouTube. So if you want to check it out, that's
go and check it out.
Has come out publicly. And the locals one he's still queuing up, but that really is, kind of what he does. He takes it, he distills it and tells those stories. So thank you so much for being there and helping document our frustration out of the end of what we're talking about, which is we were all frustrated. We wanted to do something, and that was what we did. And as you said, when you're trying to editing is most of the energy, right? So that's the thing for me where I can totally feel that you got to that point, just that I can't really put the real energy into this to make it something that's enjoyable, because I don't enjoy, the idea of it, and that makes a ton of sense. Sorry, Steve.
No, that's great. I would just gonna kind of transition into like, John, you mentioned the Outlaws. That's kind of how I really got to know you really well, and then obviously through the Soccer City experience, and then through what we were building with the locals. I remember having a conversation with you really early on the episode. The first episode that aired Sunday talked a little bit about that April meeting, which you were invited to and involved with. And I remember from that day and even before those conversations with you where you talked about, you wanted to document our process. You wanted to, as much as you could be involved with, you wanted to be invited to. So, some of those first early meetings, I always reached out to you and said, hey, John, we're going to be here. If you want to come, you're more than welcome, because these are moments that, we can never get back. And like, who else? I would rather have nobody else kind of be there to, put your camera and put your touch on that, because, sure, we could set up a camera in the corner and, record these moments, but there's nothing like, somebody being there and doing it. So like the first time we read through the bylaws, you were there. Our first leadership meeting, absolutely nobody was there that wasn't already in elected leadership but you. And so like we wanted to include you in that, because part of my motivation for including you in all this is because this is a passion project for you. Like, you're not here to monetize this. Like, you're not here to, put this out there and try to sell this in any way. Like, you're putting a ton of work into this, just like we are. Like, we're trying to build the locals and like build this culture and do what we can here. And we're putting a lot of work in, but so are you. And like, what you're doing is amazing. So I just want to say thank you so much. You're a dear friend to me, and I appreciate you and love you dearly. And I can't wait to give you a big hug after we get fully vaccinated.
John, it's on record now. This is recorded.
Yeah, there we go.
You can always go back and be like, hey, Steve, look, you said you loved me. So there you go.
Give me 5 more minutes.
I was going to say, please, you're absolutely right, Steve. John's not monetizing this, but I will monetize it for him. Y'all, go, please help him out, because this is a lot of work. This is hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of work. Patreon, patreon.com/soccer shorts. Like, just go. It's literally as little as $1 a month.
Yeah. And talk about the hours. I mean, I put together the locals video that we did for the name thing. And that took me like 20 hours of work for 2 minutes. and like John is doing like
It was still
episodes on
You
episodes on
didn't shoot any of
episodes
it.
on episodes. Like
Yeah,
and it
it's
looks
unbelievable.
It looks
Yeah.
so like
I know.
rough. So that when we were doing that, it was like last minute.
Yeah,
Imagine how much work it takes to make something look good. Like it really is a lot of work. John and I were talking about it before you guys joined us today. Like it's just, I can't believe that this is actually going to be an 8-part
I know.
series.
Crazy.
Well, and once you start tinkering, you tinker away too. Like, and then he's a true professional. He really is. Is the audio right? Is
Oh, you
this
don't-
sounding good? Does this sound well? Or is the
I
lighting?
play
like-
one on TV.
yeah, right. No. But you really do. You really, hey, the color I can notice in your edits, right? Not every Patreon does, and we don't put it there in the comments every time. But like, I'll notice, hey, he did some more color work here. He brought the lighting just a little bit here, down, just to like give it, hey, a more consistent feel from here to here, to where I'm not jarred from this cut to the next one where I felt before, like, hey, this is there. So it's really those decisions that honestly take so much time. You think, hey, you chop it up, it's like a meal. You do this, and this, and then you cook for 30 minutes. But film editing is just such a labor of love. As I said, it is, you have to love what you're working on. You hate it by the end. That is the truth. You will always hate it by the time you're
there
done.
is some truth
whatever
to that.
whatever music choice you make, you resent. You're just like, why did I choose this music? It was the dumbest choice. And then even if it's a great song that you love, like, you just, by the end of editing, you've heard the same bar of that song so many times it's stuck in your head. So it is something where John gives his hours, gives his time. The money through Patreon that you can give back to him is simply just a token to say, hey, I see you, I appreciate you. It's not recouping really a
time?
massive
No.
mountain of wealth here. It's just saying, hey man, this is it's making it worth his time and making him more interested. If he wants to be able to drive down to a certain thing, it makes it more worth his ability to do that, and fills the gas in his tank just a little bit more to do it, because he loves it and he'll do it anyway. But to me, it's that kind of thing that makes this whole group, makes the locals work, and makes things like what John's doing work. So by extension, somebody asked, I think in a comment, like, is he part of Bum TV? It's like, John is, to me, one of the things that makes us want to do Bum TV is because of somebody like John, is because he's so creative.
what are we
he's so
getting ourselves
amazing
into,
with what
dude?
he does? Yeah, like, right, like, oh man, we have
John's
to do,
like, you guys don't even
know. Yeah. He was like, oh, editing, fun for you guys.
John's like, you idiots.
But he's the inspiration in some ways, for sure. So that's to me, we can't give enough of our, at least effort and time. And at least a click is also good too. If you can't give your money and you just don't have the money in the bank account these days, just let people see it on YouTube. That also helps them out, because those views rack up and they help with ads too. So just any way you can kind of point people towards this stuff. John's one of the best locals here we got, and so just make sure people know about his stuff, for sure.
He embodies what it means. Like, I've shown up randomly to random,
Look at John's turning red. Can you fix can you adjust your color over there?
but like honestly, like I was like downtown San Diego like a couple years ago, and I showed up to the Barca bar for at like noon randomly, and John was there. Like, it's just like, oh, hey John, like, he's just always there.
Always there.
Unbelievable.
True.
It's
if anything
crazy.
else, just as somebody to talk to. Like, if
Yeah.
you're just if you get to know John, and again, you help him out as a Patreon, it's worth, you give him 5 minutes of your time, but it's also the thought of, hey, I showed up at a random soccer event. Who am I supposed to? Oh, John's there. Thank God. Now I have somebody to talk to. And as a Patreon, he's obligated to talk to you. So there you go. That's
this show is going to go a little bit longer, but that's okay, because we have John with us. I do have to jump into. We have some really important questions, Drew, that have been asked not just by our listeners today. It's something that I've been wondering as well, and I think it's really important. You're talking about how, like, he can get some money. Does he get paid? From this? Not really. It's basically going to make sure that he can just have the time and probably tell his wife, like, hey, at least I'm making something, and make sure that she's okay with it too. But I think one of the
mini DV tapes, they're not free.
The memory, the computers, all the equipment. But like, to me, well, and this goes a little bit into is there a way for you to monetize this? We've been wondering, really, John, and the question on all of our minds is, how do you get a hat named after you? First of all, that's a John Cross hat. And then,
I don't have mine in here. I was going to bring it up.
Oh, well, it's available. It's at the shop, San Diego Loyal Shop. You can get your own John Cross hat. Are you getting a cut of the profits from that?
No.
Wow,
I
Ricardo.
think Paul Naku started that, actually. I don't remember who started that.
I'm gonna call Ricardo.
Me too. Let's do it.
He started the John Cross hat.
I think Paul did, yeah.
So that's just, it makes sense though to me. Somebody that would once in a while need to go outside and work in a yard. That hat is perfect for everything. How did that come to be? Is that just something that you had?
Well, no, that's, as I mentioned before, my skin cancer issues, which unfortunately I didn't find out till very late, runs in the family. It's one of those things, where I found out after my first bout of skin cancer that my dad had multiple ones. And I was like, so you didn't think to share this? But
important information.
Your dad Mexican, because I have this same exact problem. Like it's solely a thing. Like parents they hide everything.
Right.
Amnesia, medical amnesia. Yeah.
So it was funny because my brother and I both, within a month of each other, had malignant skin cancer and had to have surgeries. And and then we find out, my dad's like, "Oh yeah, it's no big deal." Like, no big deal. It's like,
excuse me.
Well, and it was the thing, you go into the doctor and you go, okay, like they're just going, the doctor wants to talk to you about it. It's all right. So we have a couple options. We can start you on chemo for 2 weeks, or I'm like, well, wait, I thought we were just like freezing it off or something. It's like, oh no. So that totally changed. I mean, I was a shorts and short sleeve t-shirt kind of person, and overnight went to long sleeve shirts and the hat, the lifeguard hat, right? So, and I think people have come to recognize me now in that hat because this has been going on for a decade. So anywhere I go, every event, if it's out in the day, I have long sleeve shirt on. I sometimes wear shorts. It kind of depends on how hot it is outside, but I've got sunscreen on. I have my hat. And everybody at my school where I teach knows me. In fact, my profile picture is my lifeguard hat with sunglasses and my camera right there, because everybody knows. Like, they just have to see that and they know who it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's like a silhouette. Yeah.
Right.
It's totally a silhouette. You know how they say, like, it's Star Wars, every character has to have a silhouette, or otherwise they won't use that character as one of the main characters. Like, you have to be able to see like R2D2, you have to be able to see Darth Vader, just a silhouette, that's it, and you'll recognize what it is. The John Cross silhouette is totally you in that hat. It has to be. Yeah, that's a good one.
The tripod with the camera with a hat behind it.
Yeah,
there you go.
We need those stickers, man. This is what we want.
Yeah,
there's somebody filming you from out their back window, right?
John Cross.
So we're kind of at almost 90 minutes, and I think to wrap things up, I think I'd like to touch on the welcome back, kind of the video that we did as the locals and you put together at the return to play last year. So, for any listeners or anybody who wasn't involved with locals back then, who's listening or watching, we put together kind of a short 2-minute clip that would fit on Twitter of all of us talking to cameras at home, kind of pre-scripted, but kind of some freedom to put it together. And essentially this was 5 days before the match, something like that, John. That's kind of what I remember. It kind of came to mind, and came to mind, and I said
5 days time, but yeah, I got it about 48 hours at a time.
Yeah. And it kind of came to mind, and I just kind of said, hey, let's, this would be a fun project. I know the guy to put it together. And I were texting you and I said, hey, it's kind of ambitious, and I think this might be asking a lot of you, but is this something you'd be willing to do? And you kind of fired back with, yeah, let's do it. This is going to be a lot of work, but hell yeah. And we got a lot of videos. We got a lot of responses. It took me a lot of alcohol to be able to speak to a camera outside, but I was happy to do it. And I think it turned out really well. So if you want to kind of talk about that process a little bit and, kind of what that was like from your perspective, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, it's the first time I've done a video along those lines. And I have to say, and thank you, Steve, absolutely, because you made that whole process super easy on my end, because you had the script, you contacted everybody, and people responded right away. So clips came in early.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just massaging them together. Right. And it was, I think the hardest thing about doing a piece like that is when you get enough clips, it's like doing something like this. You're constantly cutting out things that are good. There are good things people submitted that don't make it into the final cut, and you just know that when you edit. You know that you have to sometimes cut your favorite thing because it just doesn't fit the story, or it's maybe someone really, when you have a montage piece like that, you don't want someone to dominate the whole thing. So it's just picking and choosing those ones. And I was really more disappointed that some people who did send in some good things just didn't make it into the final version. But I was happy with what we were able to turn around in that. And again, my job was super easy because of what you put together and what everybody else did, and they submitted. And I know it's hard because that was, you don't get someone else to go film. Everybody was completely on their own to say, say something along these lines and say it into your own camera and just send your footage away. So that was
to commit to the verbiage and do it well. And everybody did a fantastic, and you had people like Topier, shout out, who had their
that was great.
Which is
for
great.
sure. That was commitment.
You never expect it. You just send it out, and nobody asked, nobody, it just comes back with this incredible stuff. That's that's the fun of that, is you're just raking and doing that, and it was incredible to see what you put together.
I'd like to, just as a side note, just because we mentioned Paul, we have a special song that's going to be debuting on the Forever Loyal series. So for anybody who's on Patreon, you'll hear it in episode 6, but it's going to be when we do the public release, part of the opening title sequence and closing credits. So I don't know who's heard it yet, but
we all have.
I'm excited about that.
The three of us have heard it. It's
in
good.
the backyard from a phone, though. I need to hear
it.
Video quality.
But that is another nice thing along with the storytelling and doing the series on the locals. We have some locals helping with artwork and locals helping with music, and we have a lot of locals donating footage to help be part of this. And I'm just kind of putting everything together. And you're right, I don't do anything, I guess. I want to be careful how I say this. I don't not monetize it because I have the Patreon, right? But that's really the only, I'm just kind of going that route and not selling anything.
Yeah, you're not big media. You're not, no.
I don't intend anything like, hey, I'm going to sell these for $20 a copy for anybody who wants one. They're going to be out on YouTube for everybody to see and have. And it's more like, I guess, a PBS model of, hey, if you enjoy this and you're willing to support it, please help out. And along those lines as well, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Tom Phillips, the birthday boy, because he was my very first patron on Patreon. And he has been there the entire time that I have been doing soccer shorts.
Yeah, and talking about him, actually, really quick, just have to mention, he wants to know if the 4-hour John Cross director's cut is going to be dropping of the Locals doc.
Well, the 8 episodes.
And how much extra, by the way. So he doesn't.
8 episodes do come in at over 3 total hours, and that's from probably more than 50 hours of footage that I have and more than 1,000 clips.
Tom's so demanding tonight. He's just demanding stuff from all of us today. He's like, well, 3 hours, but I mean, that's an extra hour, John, that you could give us. I mean, that's a 4-hour John Cross. I mean, if you want to make it 6, make it the 6-hour John.
An extra hour is like 60 more hours of work.
Yeah, but you can bring in a prequel and then bring in the meeting where Steve and Daryl are trying to get the Black Army supporters or whatever they were calling themselves for 1904 meeting, and then juxtapose that with what ended up becoming this group. Would be kind of funny too. So you can go prequel episodes, and just so people know, John has footage, I'm sure, somewhere of that event. That's the crazy part, is there's all these things that happened that people kind of don't remember. There was a moment where we were also at Thunderhawk where we were trying to start a 1904 supporters group, because at the time that was the only professional team coming here.
Yep.
And the group of us that was, some of us on this call were there, literally same place that we founded this group. But it was just a different circumstance. So this last weekend's a total reflection of that, is just different times, different circumstances. But that was when they were an NASL club. Before they were a NISA club, just totally different worlds. But John has been there through it all. So there is just all sorts of stuff like that I'm sure is in his archives. That
I'm keeping this up right here. I'm keeping this up right here because Travis has got to go to sleep. So, we love you too. But shout out to Travis too, because I know that he's helping out with some of the graphics
Yes.
for this documentary. So you were mentioning about the
What?
the locals helping. Of course, Travis
Travis
is
doing art? What?
and in art. Of course, he somehow weaseled his way into this documentary too. So have a great night, Travis. But Tom said thanks. Pay extra on Bum Max. Yeah,
Max.
that's locals.
That's awesome.
Right there. It's the OnlyFans, the locals OnlyFans page called Bum Max. I don't know. I'll gladly pay for the 50-hour rough cut. Jeez, Tom. So literally,
we'll see.
What you're gonna need to do is just go over to John's house and just watch the footage there, so he doesn't have to
Just
do
give him
it.
the hard drive. Just be like, how much you want? Just yeah, we'll have an auction, and Tom can just outbid everyone. Other Toms.
This whole series was just also a fortunate circumstance because I was originally going to do something around the Bum Crest a year ago, January. And then I was going to do an episode of Soccer Shorts in April-ish, right after the season launch. I thought, well, let's just hold off on that story with the Bum Crest and let's just do a short, normal Soccer Shorts episode. So if anybody's seen how we originally started, we were just going to do something in April. And then as I was looking ahead at what my summer was going to look like, and this was really before the pandemic, right? Even though it was maybe loosely in the background and the radar in the news, but not really thinking that it would shut everything down. I was thinking that, all right, maybe I'm going to do a series of things. It's kind of like my original documentary. Maybe I'll start in June. I'll do June, July, August, September, kind of carry through the end of the USL season. And I started to shuffle some of my episodes around because I had so much footage. There was just a bigger story there that I just felt I couldn't fit in a normal Soccer Shorts episode. And then the pandemic hit, and I was in the middle of 3 other episodes. I was doing an episode, as you talked about, I was doing on the local Barca group, Peña Belgrana, and I was in the middle of just starting one we had done for the Unnamed Soccer podcast. So I'd like to get back to both of those. And I was actually also doing one that was ready to go, but with the pandemic, we didn't think it would happen for the Pub Cup, for anybody who's participated in the Pub Cup before. So I had put an episode together for that, but I talked with Dave and we decided to hold off because we just weren't sure if we were going to be able to host the Pub Cup in June, like it normally is. So I had 3 episodes we were working on, and then the pandemic hit, and then we just didn't know what was going to happen. So I was, in terms of Soccer Shorts, actually thankful that I had all this footage and I could spend some time working on putting it together. It was just finding the right time, also within my school schedule, to finish it. And I always wanted to release it right before the season starts. So I guess I'll finish with mine. Our public release is going to be on April 22nd will be the first episode. We'll do an episode each day, night. I haven't decided on the times yet, but we'll do a new episode each day. So the final episode will air the day before the Phoenix match. So we'll do the build up right through those last days.
Awesome.
And then hopefully, because I'm not quite done, we'll hopefully get everything finished in time to get that done. That's part of having the preview.
Motivation.
Well, part of having the preview on Patreon is also to make sure I get things finished in a timely fashion. So
I know that
make sure they're ready.
It is again. You can tinker forever. That's kind of what I love about film. I work in IT as well, and I do software production. I've always said that the through line between the two is they're very collaborative. You have to, even if you're doing a documentary all by yourself shooting, you have to get people involved. And John is just great at this, pulling people aside. Can I get a few minutes of your time? Get a little bit. So you do have to get people involved, even if you're just pointing a camera at them. Same with software development. It takes a team, but you have to reiterate at the end of that. You have to update because people are expecting it. Versus in film, the nice part is you can ship it and then say, people might ask for a director's cut like Tom, the Snyder cut or whatever. But the nice part is you're done. You can say, I'm done, I shipped this, and then move on to the next project. And so that is what's cathartic, I'm sure, but there is this deadline sense of it sometimes that's like, I could keep tinkering forever. I could keep changing this or move this here, and it is hard. So we appreciate every time it comes out every Sunday. It brightens my day, usually on Monday mornings when I'm checking it out, getting into my morning and just kind of digesting the day. But it helps me for sure, and something that just thoroughly enjoy. So anybody, if we haven't done enough of a commercial, check it out.
Yeah.
This will be our infomercial for your Patreon, but at the same time, it's well worth it, and it's something that we believe in as locals, is helping other locals, especially when they're giving directly to the community that we all love and we're trying to build. So
I'm really hoping, as we hopefully actually are coming out of this pandemic, that we can get back to what we started with and get back to telling our monthly local soccer stories, because I still have a list of, I'm not kidding, close to 70 things I've penciled out that I figure I can go for years here. There are so many, I think, very interesting stories about our local soccer culture that we still want to tell. So we've got years and years of material hopefully ahead of us.
Yeah. And I want to say thank you to you for putting in this work. This is like, all of our dreams are for this to grow and become this big thing. And so 10 years from now, when the locals are well established and San Diego Loyal is well established, we'll always have this kind of content to look back on and say, well, this is how it was founded. These are the roots of what we built here. And that's like irreplaceable. You can't go back and recreate those moments. And so thank you for the time and everything you've put in, because really it's amazing. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. It's as you said, it's a labor of love. It's something that I enjoy doing. It is a ton of work, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate you so very, very much. Hopefully, can you stick around for a little bit as we close it out? Cool, awesome. The main thing for us is obviously, please go and support, because this is a lot of work. And so to get him around and at least buy him a coffee. Like, here's the thing: Patreon charges him
beer.
He also likes beer. Yeah.
Or a beer, or 10, or 20. Patreon.com/soccer shorts. Go and check it out. Or go to YouTube too if you want to check out some of the stuff that he has on there for free. There's a lot of stuff on there. And yes, Kim, we're getting there, okay? She's commenting about Jersey Mike. So let's just get into it. So we're gonna get into some locals topics too that we need to cover real quick. We're already running a little bit long, but we're gonna really quick run through these. I have to mention, just found out today, thanks to Kim, Jersey Mike's is donating tomorrow at the time that you're listening to this. If you're listening right now on the 30th live,
right now, because it's going to be too late otherwise. If it's Thursday, it's too late. You blew it.
Oh yeah, if you're listening right now and it's a Thursday, I'm sorry, it's just shouldn't have done that. We are the 31st, March 31st. Everything that Jersey Mike sells within the San Diego County is going to be donated to Radies Children's Hospital. So if you like Jersey Mike's, why not do it today on the 31st, where the profits will be going to Radies Children's Hospital. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, by now, I meant if you're listening to the podcast, because this is going to be still during the podcast, people who are watching right now will know it's the 31st. It's the 31st. Today, right now, it's the 30th.
Steve's not here yet.
Tomorrow is the 31st. So Wednesday, the 31st. If it is Thursday, you've gone too far. It's April's Fool's Day. You're the fool. You didn't help them out. Get it on the 31st. But otherwise, buy your sandwich, help out the kids, and our partners, our club partners at Rady Children's, which is just the best people and the best cause. So, and you get a good sandwich. I like Jersey Mike's.
Are we doing any watch parties? Absolutely, right? We should be.
We should be. The idea is we're going to do them in pods a little bit. We're going to try and space them out so that it's not one central watch party. Hey, everybody come to this place. What we're trying to do, so we're not saying, hey, this is the place, go there. Otherwise, we'd already tell you, hey, this is the place, go there. Most likely, it'll be our partners, Second Chance, 3Punk, Thorn. The question is which locations as well, right? Will it be, they all have multiple locations at this point besides 3Punk, so which one will it be? And also maybe there's certain areas and partners, right? Like Creative Creature that is coming on with us as well. Maybe just certain things that are going to be, certain pockets. Hey, this group of people in OB is going to watch at this place, right? So people know. We'll kind of try and coordinate that as well as best we can. So as that stuff pops up, let us know. Us and a few friends are going to be watching over here. That helps us kind of segment people by neighborhood as opposed to mixing everybody up, which is exactly what we're trying not to do as we get back into a society where we can mix more and more, but just mixing more in our areas, in our regions, right? So that's what we're looking to do with the watch parties, and we'll have details on that. Check our socials, check our website. On our events page, we should have most of that there as we get closer and solidify any of these locations and dates. And that'll be probably the first game, as the preseason games are mostly not televised, right? So as we get to Phoenix, obviously it'll be televised, and then those first 4 road games is what we're talking about here primarily.
Victor should be in charge of that, right? He's director of the events, and so look out for that. By the way, shout out to Victor who got his whole family is in the email. If you got an email from the club today, sorry, Drew, did you ever end up getting the email? Sorry if you did. I don't know what happened.
Nope. I have season tickets, but apparently I don't.
Well, we need to fix that. But you got a preview of the new jerseys that are going to be released. They're calling them the replicas. It's just basically what replica at this point means. It's more affordable jersey that they're going to be releasing on Friday, and it was modeled perfectly by Victor's beautiful daughter and wife, and he got to model the new scarf. So go and check out your emails if you haven't done that. Tom said there's volunteer spots still open at Randy's. So if you really want to go to Randy's, Randy's is a steakhouse that is now open for volunteer spots. Please go over there.
It was a guy trying to get stuff out of his garage named Randy.
They have sandwiches. They have cheesesteaks. Go over there. Oh, never mind. He was talking about something.
So yeah, if you guys are 2021 members, Tom has been working hard at volunteering at Rady's Children's Hospital. So please check that out. Read your 2021 membership emails for that.
Hey, what's the status on the packages, by the way?
So we have been bugging Die Hard. I've been bugging Eileen, and Eileen's been bugging them on updates on production. Typically, they give us a production update not too far after we submit, but we haven't heard back. Or maybe they haven't heard back. I need to talk to Eileen again to get those details, but we've been bugging them usually. So we placed the order at the end, maybe last week, beginning of last week. And it's usually about a 3 to 4 week production time. But obviously with COVID, things are weird. So, no promises until we hear back. I remember the first order of scarves we placed was about 3.5 weeks. And then the second order of scarves we ordered was like 3 weeks on the dot, I think. So, we're getting there. We're working on it, but we're hoping to get an update from Die Hard soon. I'm going to keep bugging Eileen, who is going to keep bugging Die Hard, and we'll get those to you. And then I swear, once they ship in, I will spend we will spend the day packaging and shipping those out to get them to you guys, because we really, really want to get those out to you by the season start. It just really depends on COVID timeline of scarf production. So we will see.
I think we will. It sounds like we will, but it's just a question of turning
no
it
promises.
around.
That's my point.
And honestly, exactly. We don't know. It's just a question of and honestly, is it 2 weeks? Is it 3 weeks before? We just don't know. We just don't know until they tell us you're at this part, or hey, we're 300 into your, or whatever. You get these kind of small updates that are incremental, and we just don't know at this point. So again, like the tickets and the allotments, we got to hear from our partners there, and as we have all gotten used to living a week or two at a time until some major announcement reaches out to us, but we will keep you updated via email. So keep those emails. That's always our communication channel with our direct members. So as a member, that is going to be the way that we will reach out to you, is because it is the most coded and specific way to individually reach each one of you. And then obviously right here on this super duper podcast, I was going to say super long, but people hanging out know that's kind of our bag. That's what we do as supporters. We're here not just the full 90, but pregame, postgame too. We do it all. So if you want to hang out after the pod too, we'll do a little bit of that, even though we went a little longer tonight. But thanks for everybody for hanging out and absorbing this amazing information. Again, John's just invaluable contribution to what we're trying to build here as a group, but also just as a culture in general. It's a man that if I could build a statue of supporters, you would be one of those that I'd be on my short list, and I don't want to make you blush too much, but that's how I feel about you. So thanks for being with us, John, on the show officially. And I don't
Yeah.
got anything else, Jerry. Man, that's pretty much it. I think we've got our agenda items here, and otherwise, I just want to wear some soccer shorts at some point around here.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Maybe-
I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah, maybe we pair those with the VHS tape. What do you say, John? We make a documentary into a VHS and sell it with some shorts.
So good.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, we're going definitely a little bit longer than expected. So thank you everybody that's hung out with us, and it's for a good reason. We had just a lot to cover. I even forgot about all the graphics that I had actually thrown up here. Like I literally was just ready to do our schedule,
The
and go
videos
through
were
it.
dope, though. Those were great.
Maybe we'll
Yeah.
do that afterwards. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
We'll hang out for a little bit, but this is it's been a fun chat, and I love you guys. Thank you all for hanging in there again. Are you guys you guys done with hanging out just maybe a little bit longer?
I'm in.
Okay,
I'm
I'll
in.
go under my desk again.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for us then on the regular pod.
do
It's 2 hours, so I think it's time to go.
Yes.
If you guys want to hang out with us here live, please do. We might have some chat about some other stuff, but that's it. That's gonna do it for us. All right. Thank you guys for hanging in there. Again, for Mr. John Cross, for Mr. Drew Stack, and Mr. Steve Brokoff. My name is Jerry Jimenez, and you have been listening to the Loyal Locals podcast. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye.
I hate Phoenix.
So Jerry, you learned to stop asking me for my final thoughts, huh?
I hate Phoenix.
Yeah, you see that, dude? I feel like your final thought was this entire show. Like we just.
Well, no, when you were at
Over 1.5 hours, you have to put your
Who
final
brought the
thoughts,
corner?
He won't ask. He won't ask.
when
No,
you
I'm
were
not gonna ask anymore. I'm done.
when you were at Three Punks yesterday, and you were asking everybody if they wanted beer to go, and everybody was chiming in. I'm like, Jerry, never ask for final thoughts, and don't ask anybody if they want beer as you're leaving.
I got everybody the beer that they want ask for though.
Yeah, and then you got a beer out of it, and then you got a second podcast out of it.
Yeah, I got a beer out of it and a second podcast out of it. So,
Yeah.
Did I say that? I did say that. Did I? You guys afterwards, I was like, yeah, I'm still here. 5 p.m. I was there all day. No, but it was a great time, and honestly, like Steve Garcia, shout out, because he's such an awesome human too, and he's so about what we're doing and what we're building here. So he loves it. He just loves picking my brain and talking about the community in soccer because he grew up around it, and so it was really cool. And also, he has 3 boys. I have 2 boys, and we kind of like messed real well and had some conversations where they were pretty cool. So make sure for those of you that are here, make sure you check that out. It should be coming out pretty soon.
Brown, the award-winning Emo Brown podcast.
The award-winning Emo Brown.
Yeah.
One of the better
Yeah.
podcasts in San Diego in general. Like honestly, it's just one of the better. It's just him and talking to whoever his guest is. But to me, it's the most San Diego, not the most, but one of the most San Diego pieces of media
I
just
hate Phoenix.
constantly put out right now. So check it out if you're somebody just isn't from here yet and wants to understand the culture. It's just a great way to understand South Bay culture, but honestly, just San Diego culture and kind of what it's like to grow up here and have conversations with people from here. That's a lot of what those conversations sound like. Is my friends having conversation. I don't know Steve that well, but he feels like somebody I grew up with because he sounds a lot like a lot of the people that I grew up with. And so,
What's up with all these Steves, Drew? What's up with all the Steves?
Steves.
We need more
Jerry
Jerrys.
is a good guy.
Taking
We have
over
all
our
these
lives.
Toms and all these Steves. We don't have enough Drews or enough Jerrys. Here's the thing: like Avmir's asking about Steve Woods. What's up with that?
We already
He's a
have enough
soccer guy? No, he's not
No,
at all.
he's
He is not. He talked. So
Nope,
this
not at all.
podcast is not a soccer podcast, by the way. The Emo Brown, the saddest Mexican podcast, brought to you by. It's literally their tagline, John. I don't know why you're laughing. All right, we're emo people, us Browns. No, but it's basically just. And I got emo too on that podcast. I don't know how he makes it work out. I was but
You turned
he-
into like in Charlie Brown style. Yeah.
Steve Woods. So what Woodsy was talking about is just kind of his story through, having a job, and then how he met Ben and how that became a thing, and now how they're doing really, really good. Like they're doing fantastic. And he talks about the story about Hannah, his wife, and himself. I think he tweeted it out today, actually, about what she said, just keep going, like F those guys. And he was given an offer that just made him cry. It was so bad. He was waiting and waiting for an offer, and this thing, it's just you're gonna have to listen because it's really, really good. He has a great story.
See,
He
and
doesn't look back.
I'm just convinced that his wife told him he couldn't golf on Friday, so he tweeted something nice about her.
Oh, he said that even before like anything. He said that on the podcast. So, maybe before that.
And he has her on his keychain. He might as well love her. That's inside information. What you get on the show.
Don't talk about that, dude. What the hell? That's inside information. What are you doing? He's a great guy, Steve.
He is just a great guy, and he's got a good heart. And I think he loves sports. He loves culture like
Wait,
this.
which one, Tom?
He's a great.
That's a DSC thing.
What Steve? Garcia?
Yeah,
Broke off?
What? The other
Dave Sully chainsaw bit.
Oh,
another morning show for you people out there who love morning.
So, John, what's your favorite cereal?
We're gonna go.
It depends what decade you ask me.
Oh, my goodness.
Go through the decades.
As a 50-year-old, it's oatmeal right now.
Oatmeal.
But God, as a kid, I ate the worst of the sugary stuff. I remember you had part of your conversation with Frosted Flakes. And certainly one of those. The Crunch Berry Captain Crunch. That was one. Trying to remember what else. I wasn't always allowed to have those. We had, I don't remember what we had, Cheerios or something more bland. But as I got older, Honey Nut Cheerios was a go-to for a while.
Yeah,
so did you let your kids have sugar cereal, or were you strict father?
They'd probably give you a different answer than I would. I would say probably a little more on the strict side.
Steve,
I think you just knew more too. You know more. That's the thing. Is it's like nowadays there's just too much education on what sugar does to you long term versus we mostly had an era up until I think right after we were kids where you could kind of make it part of a balanced breakfast. And then it was all okay, which literally is just everything besides sugar that makes your breakfast okay.
I feel like I have to just take a moment real quick. And Kim, I just want you to know that I grew up on basically what you would call like EBT, which is, like the government food, government cheese, as people would like to make fun. I grew up on that stuff. And Kix was what parent tested, kid approved or whatever.
Yeah, whatever the line.
It's definitely healthy. Not. This is what we got. This is what we got. That's the only cereal that we could actually get.
My mom would buy that for us too. She was
that
very
was
healthy.
worth anything. We loved it. Loved Kix growing up. So thank you for bringing back some.
Me too.
Pretty good memories of my childhood.
The Kix Berry stuff though. Kix Berry was like,
man. Dude, yes.
That was the stuff with little clusters where they're like little flowers, but they were berry. Oh man, it was kind of like Crunch Berries. It was like the X up of. Then the nice part about Kix versus
that Wick Life, yes, Afmir, yes,
Kix versus Captain Crunch. To your point, John, Captain Crunch I love, but it just cuts through. It's so hard.
Eats up the roof of your mouth.
You have to let it soak beforehand, otherwise it's a bad situation. Kix you can almost eat dry, and it's nice and fluffy. It's kind of got that. It's not as dense, so there is a proportion amount to that. Yeah,
you could grab like a handful of Kix, Drew, and just be like, just walking around,
snack,
toss it in like corn nuts.
I wheeled my recycling out like 15 minutes before the show when I had to jump in the shower way too early. And one of the things in there was a big box of Kix that I bought this last couple of weeks when we were talking about.
Was it in your trash?
It was a giant. I finished the box of Kix.
Because he ate it.
I understand. Understood now.
He didn't just throw it.
I was like, you threw cereal away? How dare you?
If Two Balls is still here, Tony and Chiva would be very upset with you right now.
For sure.
No, I ate the entire thing. It was it's way more than whatever the serving size said.
Crunch berries. Only crunch berries. My dad used to eat Rice Krispies with sugar sprinkled on top. Me too. So I did too as a kid. Yeah. Apparently that was how everyone ate cereal back in the day. Absolutely.
That was pretty common, yeah.
And then they just figured out how to put sugar in cereal.
Yeah.
and then you still put sugar on top. Of
Yeah.
cereal.
Well, that was the idea, right? So you could get sugar in your cereal, but that's why they always said in every bite, right? Like that was the big commercial line became like in every bite because you're getting it not just one of the flakes, but all the flakes are frosted.
So bad.
So Jerry, last week when you were out with COVID shot 2, you brought up what's the store you missed the most that no longer exists. Now I'm going to ask you, what store do you miss that no longer exists?
Store?
Yeah, you said like.
I think I threw a few in there. I threw.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I used to get lost at Mervin's all the time, and it drove my mom crazy because I was hiding between like
The racks of clothes.
And it'd be like, El niño Gerardo Jimenez, por favor, report to the front of the store. You see a little brown boy running around, please, without his mom. His mom is very worried and is at the front of the store right now. Bring him over to the front of the store. Thank you. And I'm like, and then my mom would like grab me, and once they found me, and they'd be like, the belt coming out. How dare you? How dare you? You're embarrassing me, you son of a. Oh wait, you're my son. Dang it. You know, it was like one of those. But no, Mervin's. There was I don't think a lot of people are gonna remember this one. Sprouts
Dumas
Ritz
Mervin's. Yeah.
was one. That was super old school. I got like toys from there. Then there's a lot, dude. There's a lot. Boll Weevil is gone.
Oh yeah, that's
Boll
gone now.
Weevil.
Boll Weevil's gone.
Yes.
It's fully gone.
Cheers.
I know, man. Cheers for the homies.
I think
the
like
homies, yeah.
Kmart's spiritually gone, right? Like it's like a vegetable of a
Kmart's
store.
around.
It's there, but
Woolworths.
it's not what it used to be. That's kind of one of those for me. That's like you walk in there and it just feels like somebody needs to pull the life support out of Kmart, just let it die a little bit. But yeah, that used to be a store that had some fun stuff in it. That's always like now a little sadder to go into. That you're like, oh man, I almost wish it wasn't around anymore because then my memories could just be happy of the store.
Yeah, even the one on Broadway. Yes, yeah, dude, in Chula Vista. Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah,
Completely
gone.
gone.
They're all
And
gone.
they'll go under like a different name, and somebody will take it over and try to pretend and call like Boll
It's the
Weasel
same.
instead of Boll Weevil, and then just
Boll
like,
Weasel.
yeah. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. The one in Lemon Grove? No. Is it? Maybe. I'm right here too. I'm in Lemon Grove. I'm gonna look it right now. See, but the one in Mira Mesa, or not Mira Mesa, La Mesa is gone. Actually by or my buddy
There was
Craig.
one up this way back in the day, but yeah, it's not there anymore. That's gone a few years ago. But yeah, they're all gone. I even in the Midwest, anywhere around the country that they used to exist. It's just.
Oh, by the way, Afmir, if you're talking about the one on Broadway, the Boll Weevil that was on Broadway in Chula Vista is now a much better burger place. So go and check it out. I don't remember exactly what it is, but they're like racing themed, like 4-wheeler, like off-roading type racing, and like Baja, you know what I mean? Like the Baja racing type stuff. But their burgers are really, really good. They have very good hamburgers. So go and check it out if you're there. Afmir can't because he's not in San Diego anymore. But let me see. Hey, by the way, Afmir, are you flying in to San Diego for any matches? Because we'd love to see you, man. You and the family.
Oh yeah.
That'd be cool.
Can I throw out some of the Discord questions we had for the?
Oh
pod?
yeah. Did we
went
get some?
on. No, we did and we didn't. So
Do it.
I'll
I
throw
was
the
gonna say,
ones
people
we
don't care.
didn't really answer. No, I want to throw out the ones we didn't answer. So just because I feel like they're good, some good questions. So one of them was Victor, our model, our family of models, right? He produced. Apparently, he's just so photogenic that he creates photogenic.
We should add that into his title and bylaws.
Director of events slash
model.
model. Yeah. If things continue to get better and we travel as a group, what games are we most excited about to travel? I think most people are excited about Vegas, obviously, just because
Vegas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that September Vegas game to me sounds really nice. I think like my anxiety, the whole world will be a little bit at least willing to go to Vegas at that point. You know, it's
Well,
like,
the first Vegas away is I think the 25th of June, off the top of my head. But yeah, you know, later in the season for sure.
Wait,
it's doable, but I think
I didn't know this.
in some ways.
Breaking news! I didn't know Ashley was prego, dude. Wait, did I know?
I know.
Congrats.
Congrats again.
You guys. Yeah, I think I did know. You're right. This still March 2020 in my head.
And John is sitting there 23 years later, like, guys.
Are you kidding? It's so nice that they're all grown and out.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, Letty said it earlier. I'm on vacation from the screaming. I mean, when I'm out here working, I work a lot, but I miss him. But my God, he's teething with molars, and there's a lot of crying going on in that house right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's kids are crazy.
Yeah.
Don't do it, Drew. Don't. Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah.
Oh, sick, dude.
No events to plan last season. I had to find something to do, so he became a model.
We had to find another role for him because
That's awesome.
we couldn't have events for a while. So
Dude, just wait
we're in
for.
Yeah.
Just wait for Victor's Mr. July in the up and coming locals calendar. He's Mr. July, August, September, October, and November, possibly December because we had somebody drop out. But we'll see. Maybe.
yeah. There's a great spread of him at the Cove.
It was. Yeah. It was gonna be the locals calendar. Now it's just the Victor Lopez calendar.
The Victor Mario Lopez calendar. It's a dueling Lopez calendar. We just pulled in that guy. Yeah. I think it's hard to tell who's better looking, honestly, between the two of them. It's
at this point it's Victor. I'll take Victor.
I'll take any guy who roots for the Padres any day. So yeah, that's for sure.
Victor's like, nope, I don't root for the. He does root for the Padres. Okay.
Shouts to opening week for baseball.
Hey, that's coming too. Do we get any other questions? Or was it just Victor?
There's a couple. No, it's all him.
Oh, go for it.
What are we going to call the father-son battle, Louisville FC, since they backed out of calling it the Hackworth Derby?
He said no.
Yeah, Morgan said no. He kind of backed away from that. We could, but a more indelible name. I mean, it is hard. I think there is a sense of like booze connection, right, with the beer and bourbon. Kind of the two B's, the alliteration there's fun, but I don't know what's kind of their barrel. Yeah, the barrel bowl, barrel derby. I like calling things bowls in America just for
Drew,
fun.
you're gonna sign off, and like 3 seconds after you sign off, whenever that happens, you're gonna text us like with the perfect
Here's the name.
Got
it. Yeah, if anybody, that was also
That's how you work.
I like these for post-show questions too, because that's one that's good for everybody.
Coach,
a player, coach. He's the coach of.
Yeah, his dad was the former US U17 national team coach. He's got quite the pedigree.
He's a good coach.
Yeah.
Morgan's a very heady player as well. If you watch him play, you can see him almost kind of, if you watch his head, it's one of those where you can watch where the head's going and then tell where the ball will go. Not in the way the players can, but you can almost see the mechanics work out, as well as some of the passes and decisions he makes is very intelligent at the time. And you can tell that comes from sometimes somebody who constantly has these conversations, even when they go family talking about, where balls go and that kind of stuff. So it's fun to have that player there as well. But I think that's another guy that this preseason I've been very happily surprised by their involvement, as well as how much they're kind of being mixed into the first team is Morgan, as we've talked about. So why are we still on? We're still there. That's a good question, but it's not in the Discord.
The first lady of the locals. Yeah, why is it still on?
It's not a question. It's a statement. That's not a question. It ends in a statement. So I'm going to move on to the next question.
The majority of us are parents, and Drew, I know, also works so damn much that I think we can speak for the four of us right now on the screen. Yeah, we are definitely.
We'll wrap it.
But we do it for the people.
I will say this is a good one. So Luis asked, "Are we doing sign language chants since we can't cheer?"
Oh, that's a great one.
Ooh.
Maybe we might have to do that.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting.
I mean,
what tier can we walk in as a group? That was his other.
Bro,
question.
I don't know, but
we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. It's up to USD, honestly, more than it is the state of California in some ways.
It's on both.
Yeah, so it's really we have to. It could be any tier, and then it also could be USD saying we're not comfortable till X date. So we'll see. I think a lot of it will be the first few matches. We'll feel out what's comfortable, and they'll say, "Hey, these people aren't crazy and they're nice," and they'll probably let us do more. Is my guess.
Literally said, I realized I came back instead of yeah, all right. Thanks.
To be
That's what
fair,
happened.
yeah, there's something to this. I don't know. I think those are the good ones. There's some other stuff of like any clubs that we can buy tickets from, but we don't know any of this stuff yet in terms of a lot of this stuff in terms of that. And then we already answered the other stuff, so that's what we got going. Oh, who's going to Merch Mansion?
Who's already at Merch Mansion? I'll tell you, it's Paul and
Paul's
Carl.
already there. He's inside.
He's in a tent right now, camped out. So party one.
They're waiting till Friday to get their replica jerseys and their posters. Apparently, you get a poster too.
Ooh.
Is it just the white ones there right now, or do they have the?
I don't know. It looks like it's just the white ones. They might have the orange. I know they had some orange ones that were going to release too, but I don't know. We'll see. So the poster, I believe that you get with this. I may be mistaken, so don't quote me. But do you guys remember that they were doing a contest, like an art contest for, getting some artists around town, and that's what it was. They created the art. Somebody won, and he created the art for this calendar. And so maybe we can get him on too. That'd be pretty cool to talk to him.
Cool.
I've had a couple of conversations. Unfortunately, I was somehow cut. I was in that art, and I was cut out, and I was replaced by some dude named Landon or whatever. But it's fine. Is what it is.
Who?
Yeah, Landon
Can
Donovan.
you be more specific?
Gary scored a lot of goals for the U.S. men's national team. I don't know if people don't know this, but
I don't know. I don't.
Bro, were you there in my dreams? Because I scored like way more than Landon Donovan.
Gary,
Whatever.
I tell people I work in healthcare. Really, I work in Inception. So
yeah, I am sure. Yeah, exactly. Whatever, man. It is what it is.
why do you think I'm up till like 5 a.m. all the time? I'm just going into dreams and stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna work on this. I promise. Yes, we're working on this. It's gonna be
do it.
fun. It's not gonna be easy though. Yeah, it's not gonna be.
No,
easy.
Daryl and I hosted a national team trivia night back down at Bay City before the 2018 World Cup, and Landon showed up. It was kind of like an OSG Soccer City thing.
Who's Landon? Who's this Landon guy that everybody's talking about?
I would
That
like
team
to
didn't
point
win.
out that
They
my
didn't
group
win.
won that.
Yeah.
Oh, John's group won.
Yeah,
that.
John's group. John, it was like you and Nate, and who else was on your team?
I'm trying to remember who else was there. I remember Nate, but I'm trying to remember who else
I
was
don't know.
part of
I
it.
remember you guys won.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
It was fun. That was like a lot of fun. It was fun putting it
did you-
together too.
So, what
Yeah,
did you
let's do
guys
it.
use? Did you guys use like a program or anything, or was it
No.
just like you wrote it on cards?
Hey, Jerry, guess what? I put together a spreadsheet.
What the hell's wrong with me? How did I not know that? Like, I should have immediately known that that's what it was.
I could find that. It wasn't that hard. It was really easy.
No,
it
but
was
I have a much better way of doing this.
Okay.
Much better way. As a teacher, because I know John, is a teacher, and I taught for a little while, and to be fair, I don't have the degree, but I taught plumbing, and so I had to find ways to make it fun for my students to go through and kind of get some of the code book questions that we go through. But there's a program where you would like make your own not sure. This is like a trivia questionnaire type thing. Do you remember what that's called, John? I'm gonna have to look it up right now because I forgot.
There's lots of different ones. I think the most popular one, at least at my school, that people use is called Kahoots.
Kahoots, thank you. That's what it
Oh,
is.
yeah, that's right.
You basically log in with your phone, and
Yeah.
it's on your
Put
screen,
up like a
on the
link.
computer,
Yeah, like
and then on the phone you can you answer, and you have like seconds to answer, right?
so
You
they have
can-
QR codes and stuff now too. You can just scan.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, hey, here's it, and then you're a user, so you're like part of the trivia game, and then you enter your user, and then we
so
use
we
this
could
for
do
my
that.
company, I believe, as well. I think at the point was
You guys-
something like that, all the way back to like Keynote, PowerPoints that were like some form of like Jeopardy or something too. I think I've used
Yeah.
that before too.
Yes, so I did that too, and
You guys fancy.
they have
yeah.
like an Excel sheet that's already made out to be like what, Steve?
I made it. I made the sheet.
It's supposed to be like Jeopardy. right? And then you click on it and it sends you to the answer or whatever, and then you get certain.
Exactly.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Steve made it. Made by Scuba Steve.
Oh, hey Tom. Yeah. Yeah, the class is easiest to find quizzes from.
No, that would be fun though, like a local
Yeah, for
study,
sure.
right? Like from last season and stuff. That'd be super fun.
Yeah, we got to do
I'm
it.
sure
We gotta do it.
between
Yeah.
spreadsheet aficionado and biology aficionado, there's some merging cell jokes that happens.
Yeah. There you
We
go.
do a
Bravo,
we do a
Drew. Bravo.
male
That's
merge,
pretty good.
baby.
Bravo.
Gonna come in.
We're like at 2 hours and 15 minutes into this, and there's still 17 people here with us. So I love you all. I just want you to know that. Thank you for hanging out with us. John, again, man, it's the kind of, I didn't get to say it because I let Steve and Drew say it for me. I feel exactly the same way that they do. We really appreciate all the hard work that you put into it. I know the amount of hours that you put into it. I can't imagine, having to watch me and Drew and Steve and Tom and Travis for hours. Golly, I would hate that. So I appreciate you for doing it for us. But what's it looking like right now? Are you like, how you were telling me you're a little behind, but it's not too bad, is it?
Well, first, I'd like to say I really appreciate all of you guys for making yourselves available, because otherwise wouldn't be able to tell the story that I'm telling if you guys hadn't made yourselves available. And as Steve alluded to during the podcast, of allowing me to come in super early in the process to get some of those clips that were part of that preview for episode 1. And then, the Wild Barrel one that was out and the one today, I was there. Lots of people were there, but to be there at Thunderhog, I think really helped tell that part of the story and have some B-roll. So I'd like to thank all of you again, and Drew, because we've worked through Bridge Barcata and everything, has always been available to help out. And Steve, we did that Tony DeChico TIFO one that we did years back. So I appreciate how everybody has been very willing to do this, because most people are not comfortable in being and speaking in front of the camera. And I thank you for, having some trust in me to use that to tell a good story. So that's the first part. But to get what's that?
For sure, you have to get other peers into it too. Like certain of our leadership were definitely less than excited to tell their story sometimes.
Sure.
But they got that everybody else was doing it, right? And it does help when you say, hey, my friends are doing it, so I should probably do it too, because this is something we're all buying into. So again, like, you being a person who's been a friend makes that a lot easier for us to say, hey, our friend's doing this. So it makes it a lot easier than this guy who's just a person. So it does make that trust easier. Sorry, go ahead and continue. But it is, you make it easy too on that end, versus a lot of people I've been around are just soulless on the end of the camera. And I'll say Ryan does a great job of this as well, just in the brief time seeing him work. But giving a personality behind the camera that you can interact with makes it a lot easier. And you get a lot better stuff, obviously, from what John can get by having that warmth behind there too. So
Hey,
it goes
John.
both
Well,
ways,
thank you.
for sure.
Look, he's so
Yeah, I saw that.
larger-
I'd like, because it came up and I didn't say, I'd like to thank Jeff for your contribution and joining on Patreon. So I saw that come up earlier, but I didn't get a chance to say anything.
Is that his shot right there in the back too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's his. This is Jeff's contribution right there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Damn.
Drew.
He's not even smiling like that. I just like to imagine that he's smiling more like.
So, Jerry, you asked, where am I in the process?
Yeah.
The first 5 episodes are done.
Nice.
I'm on. This is episode 6, which is really revolves around the March 7th home opener. A little bit of the lead up to that, but really it focuses on March 7th. So that's episode 6, and then 7 and 8 are. I have my drafts that are done. They just haven't been finalized yet. So there's a few more pieces of B-roll I need to add, and really, as Drew kind of talked about before, smoothing things out, getting the framing right, getting the coloring right, getting the audio right. So I'm behind where I wanted to be at this point. I'm not, for all the things I wanted to put together, because ideally when the public release happens, I wanted to have a last time on Soccer Shorts, right before the episode, and a next time on a little preview, I might have to scrap those. They're not terribly important, especially because we're releasing them now every day, one a day. And if people aren't watching them one a day, they're going to probably binge it at some point. So
Yeah.
It's not like there's a huge gap where you need a reminder of what happened. But someone years later may be watching this and may want a teaser for what's coming next. So I would like to do those. Those are just a couple of the things that might get cut out. So really, I need to wrap up 6 and hopefully 7. I'm hoping to get both of those wrapped up this weekend. And sometime during the following week, get episode 8 finished so I can start working on the title sequences, the opening title sequence and the closing credits, and get those all wrapped up. So then if I have time, I can put those other pieces together.
So you can start working on season 2 right away. No break.
Yeah. I have so many.
Right.
I had an idea for so many bonus episodes and things to run parallel and kind of an enhancement where I have still good clips that didn't quite fit within the story arc of the episode that I thought I'll just release this as a bonus clip, but it just takes time to put them together. So I'm sure over the summer or some point, those are eventually going to come out. They just may not come out on the tighter timeline that I had hoped.
Please do like a blooper reel.
Oh yeah,
of your interviews, please. That'd be so fun.
Well, there might be.
I'm sure I said when you came to my house,
damn professional. All right,
you came to my house and you showed up at like what 11, and you left at like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it was a full afternoon.
It was like a 7-hour. It was like a 7-hour thing.
Because as we go through the episodes in your interview, you can see how the shadows change.
Yeah.
You're in the sun and then you're completely in the shade.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I noticed, but it's funny because Steve's is such a massive interview, that one in the backyard that's just like all encompassing because it's in all the episodes, because it is just speaks to everything. But you were so good about hitting Jerry and I think at a few different points, which is nice. So our interviews at least change a little bit from like location to location, but it's Steve, that was kind of the tell-all, like, but so many of the quotes that you have in there are so good that I'm like, oh yeah, what he said was better than whatever I said, which was like rambling, which I think is like the harder part of what John's talking about. It's tough because you'll have this interview and let's say I say a thing a bunch. What's really weird watching some of this back for me and some of the interviews is, as you'll notice,
you don't breathe. You don't breathe. That's what's weird.
I don't breathe. Yeah, ever. I have circular breathing from doing trumpet.
You can do the. You can do the. What is it? The Jack
breathe
Black.
Into your nose.
The Jack Black reverse. What is it? What does he call it? The singing, inward singing.
Yes. There's that, but I'll use a word. So codified was one of them when we were at the brewery. And for some reason that day, I just wanted to say the word codified like 6 times. And I even in the interview checked myself and I go, codified, not codified. But it's so hard as an editor because when you have somebody like me who's talking a mile a minute to cut around that. And then you're like, this is such a great quote. But he says this so many times that it pulls me out of it just because of what he's saying, because he's using that word again. So it is stuff like that I just find fascinating as decisions that you have to make where it's like, with me, I hate everything I say. So I just be like, cut it, get it out of here. But, when you're saying, it's just a good way of saying it. So maybe that leads into this clip where Steve says this or Jerry says this or whoever says this. And I think that's
John's computer is like, all right, it's time to go, yo.
Dude, I've been going to sleep for the last 2 hours. I appreciate those decisions because it's hard. Like, this is
a really good question. I need to pop this up. Are the Chavo Chans making the rotation this season? Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, they were already. Yeah, they were part of our front line. If people don't know, I've said this a few times. They're part of our front line. If you look at the pictures, like Mark, Kevin, they're right there.
Yeah, Abel is on drums.
They're right there. So it's not like Chavos is a separate group from Locals the way that we've had it previously in matches. We're all one group. I think moving forward, that's the idea. They want to try and create whatever their identity, their brand is, and I'll let them speak to that. But they've always been a part of our group. And then in stadium, the goal is we have one section that is our supporter section, and we divvy and make that our supporter section, not just ours, not Locals, but ours in the general sense.
Yeah.
We never said, we've never said the whole time, we've never said the Locals own 109, the Locals own supporter culture for San Diego Loyal. You know, we just were the first, and that doesn't make us the best. That doesn't make us the only. That just makes us the first. It's simple. And there's so many other ways of supporting, and they have a different approach, and it's not that different. It's just a different identity. It's a different kind of, you know, foundation, and that's great. You know, we want nothing but for them to thrive, and to grow, because that's going to grow support for San Diego Loyal. That's going to grow support for this club. It's going to grow soccer support in the city. So they're great guys, and that's really ultimately all that matters. There are I think there's some formalities that we kind of have to talk about internal with, you know, with us and with the club and that kind of stuff, like memberships and, you know, recognized supporter group and that kind of stuff. But those are formalities that we're not going to bring to the field of play in the section on game days. All that really matters is, you know, let's keep it chill and keep it friendly and not make this any sort of competitive, because that's not how we see it. That's not how they see it. Rising tide lifts all boats. I said that earlier. And it's just, you know, they're great people, and they have the best intentions. And just because they're not like locals doesn't mean that they're not here to grow and build just like we are. So much love to those guys. And yeah, they're really talented at writing songs and coming with chants and that kind of stuff. So massive shouts to Kevin and Mark and Abel and Sammy and any other members who are involved with them. So
yeah, looking forward to the Soccer Shorts Chavos.
Yeah,
there will be.
Yeah,
cool.
For sure. There needs to be. So yeah, great question, Miguel. I appreciate that, man. For us, it's very much just about growing and keeping this thing going. We're all one of the same exact club. There's no reason for us to be like those clubs that, you know, the supporter groups that have like arguments and fight amongst themselves like that.
Like LA Galaxy, they hate each other. You know, like that sucks.
They're getting better though. They're getting a lot better. So
yeah, but even Vegas, when they showed up, right, we had a couple supporters.
Oh, that's true.
We had one that's, you know, they don't really talk to the other one a lot, and so just to see that sad, like just to hear that, like, oh yeah, we're with the other supporters group, and like they don't talk to each other. Like that's really weird, right? Like it's just like, hey, you guys are from the same city. You both want, like, soccer support in this country is so not. It's rising. A lot of people watching here. We're all the bleeding edge here, but like it's getting there. It's becoming majority-esque popular-ish. But even then, the majority of this country doesn't understand. It's very much still a very minority of us that love this and really love this culture in our own cities and try to grow it. So it's really weird when you just don't say, hey, let's align, let's figure this out, because overall our goal is the same. And so like with us and Chavez, like 90, I want to say 90%, maybe they can revise this, but like most of our goal like is completely the same. I just think that there's shades of like how they want to approach it or maybe build it in their sense differently. And so that's totally respectable. And for anyone who wants to do that, we're always here. So that's what we're here to do, and honestly help you out and say, hey, maybe have you thought of this or thought of that in a non-judgy way, just like, hey, here's a way to do this. So if anybody wants to do anything like that, we can always help you out too.
And even I'm just going to chime in on like San Diego is such a multicultural place that like there's never going to be a chance that like what we did would encapsulate every approach or every like perspective. And the more we have that, the better, you know? So like,
that's why we have 130 breweries.
Unity.
we can't decide.
Yeah, as long as
we can't figure it out.
As long as we keep things like, you know, let's have conversations and let's develop relationships, which is really hard during COVID, right? But now that hopefully things are getting better, we can have those again, because that's when you build like brotherhood and you say, you know, I love and respect what you're doing, even if it's different than what we're doing, but shouts to you guys. And I think we already have that in a lot of ways, but you build and you grow that through like, you know, let's have a meeting at Second Chance or whatever, and you sit there for 30 minutes and you talk business, and then you sit there for 2 hours after that and you just like shoot the shit and like have a good time, you know? So like that's like how you really get to know each other. So
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Unity.
He had this ring on to commemorate this song he had put out called Unity, and this was imprinted in that black head.
You guys ever watch Chappelle Show?
A week.
Oh yeah,
Unity.
Back in the day.
Yeah. Though I wanted to say a really quick shout out to our good friend Markland.
Yes.
Marklin Retzer, who released IAIO, We Are San Diego. That was one that we were doing, actually, if I'm not mistaken, on March 7th, or we were talking about it already, where it was very close to being done. Can I play it? I don't know if it's like, it's released everywhere. You can pretty much get it anywhere.
You can Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you want to go.
It's
AIO.
really good. It's called IAIO.
I always want to start with an A. I don't know why. IA.
So the idea is the 4 pillars of what built this club, and that's what they called it from the beginning. We're independent, we're authentic, inclusive, and optimistic. So IAIO, We Are San Diego.
I'd say we share a lot of those as a supporters group as well.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So it's amazing.
And that's how we're gonna close it out and call it a night, because people are falling asleep, especially Lydia.
But you guys remember this chant? IAIO.
Yeah.
We are San.
You're gonna hear it a lot in the episode.
Oh yeah. In the episode.
Nice. Glad. Cool. And is it from us, or is he letting you? Is he giving you rights to use it?
No, not. I mean, the chant that we did on March 7th.
It's like,
cool. Because we actually did it. I didn't realize how much we as a supporter group had sung that chant on that day, and it was a lot.
Oh, see, there you go.
It was during the march. It was pre-march. It was when we raised the TIFO. It was all kinds of times.
I only remember drinking beer all and not having a voice, but like the second chant.
Yep. I remember Jerry. I remember you looking at me like, dude, my voice.
Yeah. I'm done as I am done now. How are you guys doing? You good?
I'm good.
Can we call it a night?
Yeah,
we should.
Yeah,
we
it's been a
should
while.
say goodbye to our friends. And as John said, recovery is a big thing. We have to get to our lives tomorrow. So
we do.
Thanks, everybody.
Take anything from this
reality
podcast,
awaits.
Yeah, reality does wait, unfortunately. But if you take anything from this show to bring it back, get some energy up in here. Just remember, everybody.
I hate Phoenix.
Okay, that's it. That's all you need to know. Long story short,
I hate Phoenix.
Yes. I think
perfect.
I'm gonna change that to We Hate Phoenix.
I hate Phoenix.
But whatever. All right. Good night. Mimi's time. It is Mimi's time. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. I missed the march because I was cleaning up the tailgate. Oh, Lydia.
She was.
Thank you for your work. No, thanks, John, for being on here so late with us.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you guys for all your support for everything.
Hopefully you got at least a couple of members. If you did.
I did. My phone
yeah.
up. Yeah, thank you.
Maybe some listeners later too in the next couple of days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just really hope everybody enjoys it. That's the ultimate goal.
Everybody
that's
will.
The best part is we're just pointing them towards stuff they want to watch. Like that's what we're saying here, guys. Like you love this already. You already do. John's just pointing a camera where you want to, or when you say, "Why isn't somebody filming this match?" John did. Here you go. Check it out. Like that's what we're saying. Go do it.
John, I think the league didn't release the actual full game, dude. Did you get it? Did someone?
No.
Oh, dang it! I was gonna say we need it.
I'm still working with the club to try to get a couple of clips that I can use.
Really?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Let me know. Yeah, let me know. Let me know.
Go beat
But
some.
I've been in contact with Ryan, so I think they're a little busy at the moment. I just need a couple of things. I want their shot of the TIFO being raised because that's the best shot I've seen.
You know what? I'll talk to Ryan.
All right.
Especially after today. If Ryan is still here, Ryan said he was going to be watching. He's not here, whatever. But if you're here,
we have been in contact.
You owe me one today. Today you said you owe me one. Ryan. Today.
I'm with Jerry.
I'm not even going to say why.
They know. You know.
I'll tell you guys after. I helped you out, bro. Come on, help us out. Help John out. Okay.
Yeah, we
that's
love
it.
you.
That's gonna do it for. How do we close this out? What's even the theme song that
we love everybody? We already did the theme song. We did the close. We just have to say bye, everybody.
Just woo us out.
Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We're gonna call it a night. We are San Diego, and just remember, all right, that
I hate Phoenix.
Okay, that's it.
All right.
Have a good night, guys. Bye.
Good night.
See you later.
This may or may not be